Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I served during Operation Iraqi Freedom, deployed for 15 months. But recently, found out about several issues seem to be ongoing and current in the Buffalo Public Schools district, where children are being put at risk by the district, by the administration, and to a certain degree by the law. Um, there's a podcast called the Unsubscribed Podcast. It's got various different hosts. They rotate through from time to time, but in the one we're going to review here in a minute, um, it's got Eli Double Tap, Nick, aka the Fat Electrician, Detective High, goes by Angry Cops, Ethan as the habitual line crosser, Brandon Herrera, Cody, what he goes by. So hopefully they bring that. I know his channel. I've seen his stuff. It's having a senior moment. But the point of this is, when I first saw it, the initial video is like 2 months ago, and then there's an update video that's about a month old. And initially, I was like, "Well, I'm late. This is old." I do, but everything I'm seeing, or rather not seeing, from my internet searches, there really hasn't. At least nothing's being released or published as to what's happening yet, like an update. And so I've got every reason to think that this is still a very present issue. They've got a website for it, which I will link in the description below if you are affected by what we're going to go over. There's a site where you can submit anonymously or not experiences that might contribute to the investigation. And it speaks to me. I mean, I'm a parent. I've got 4 kids, 3 are adults now. Still got one in middle school. And even if I didn't have kids, um, since being in the military, I have become a veterans advocate voluntarily. I don't have a job, I'm medically retired. I've got time. I was medically retired at 33. I was young. And Lord willing, I'm at 45 now. Lord willing, I still have 30, 40 years. I want to help people. And that's what I've been doing. And I think I can lend resources and knowledge and ability to this fight, and it is a fight in the very strictest sense of that word. Children are in danger, and that's not an exaggeration. That's not being dramatic. When I put up the video that I'm going to review and go over, in fact, I'm probably not going to say a whole lot. This is going to be one of those react videos because I've seen it a handful of times already. I can't help myself. I go back and watch it again just because it's so serious that you almost want to say you don't believe it, but it's got to sink in. And so I don't know that I'll say much while this video is going on. This may end up being one of those quote unquote react videos where the guy's just kind of sitting in the corner. But I'm using that video for 2 reasons. One, I don't think you can have too many voices on an issue like this. Couple issues. Two, I don't think you can be late. I don't think that is a thing that exists as long as there hasn't been a resolution yet. As long as there's still cause to fight. And I think there's still cause to fight. So I don't care that these issues were brought to light 2 months ago with an update a month ago. I don't care if it was 3 years ago. If it's still ongoing, there's still reason to join in. There's still reason to stand up. There's still reason to have a voice. More than that, I've been through quite a bit in my life between my time on active duty and off as a veterans advocate where I've gotten in some trouble, kind of in the best way, like this, right? Like when there's an issue that needs to be addressed and stood up for and fought for, I've been through some things. So I want to briefly tell a story that happened to me while I was on active duty by way of demonstrating what I'm hoping to bring to this fight in Buffalo schools. And I want to emphasize again that I'm retired. I have time. Um, I'm living on the VA for income, so I don't have a lot of disposable money. But when you've got enough time, amazing what you can do without a lot of money. I serve as the Sergeant at Arms for the United Veterans Council of Kent County. That's here in West Michigan. We've got a kind of little, it's a comical phrase, but it's one that we kind of live by when we're trying to get something done, especially when you're talking about bureaucracies and governments and things that tend to move at an almost glacial pace. Our kind of motto is gentle pressure, relentlessly applied. I am relentless. And when necessary, I'm not gentle. And I don't think this is one of those instances where gentle is right. Um, there's going to be conversations with lawmakers and politicians and law enforcement all the way up the chain. So obviously, decorum and professionalism are required. Um, and as a part of my time in the military, I actually served as a truck driver in civilian terms. I was an 88 Mike, Go Transportation Corps. Um, but I got injured during my only deployment. I wasn't able to go back. They never fixed me. I tore all the cartilage off my right knee. And 3 failed surgeries in the Army. I tried. Um, but because of that, I ended up in some administrative roles that a soldier with the rank of E4 never should have been in. At one point, I was on a brigade staff level position, coordinating the training for the pre deployment training for an entire brigade. Any soldier that came to the brigade after their unit had been through NTC, and this military speak, if you don't know what that means, that's fine. I'm speaking to a certain crowd. Any soldier that got to their unit after their unit had been through NTC, he trained brigade. I scheduled and coordinated all of that training for the entire brigade as an E. I made countless memos on behalf of my sergeant major, where he signed or the colonel signed. I wrote them, but it was as if they had written them because they were the one. It was their signature block. So I'm well versed in how to communicate with people in positions of power, how to speak truth to power. Now, what happened to me? So somewhere in the middle of my deployment, 2008, give or take, my then wife had gotten a hold of me, phone. We had some video calls. I can't remember which one it was. And she says, "Hey, apparently there's a new company in charge of post housing now. They're called BBC." Which I laughed at because the only BBC I've ever heard of before is the British Broadcasting Company. Got to be a different BBC. And it was. They were called Balfour Beatty Communities. Don't make me pronounce that properly. I don't care. And I went, okay, cool. I kind of got this war I'm dealing with, though. So thanks for letting me know. But it didn't impact my day. I was in Baghdad, dodging IEDs and mortars and small arms fire. Didn't really have time to care about the company that had taken over post housing. But when I got home and got settled back in, I was on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. The neighborhood that I lived in was called Van Horn. You can go ahead and Google that, but you're not going to find much. The neighborhood was slated for demolition entirely. That whole military neighborhood, 300 plus houses. And I used to get people from back home who went, well, how bad can it be? And those of us who understand government at all, or military in particular, they don't just demolish 300 homes because they're bored. And they're certainly not going to do it if there's any reason not to, because that's a lot of money. And along the way, Facebook was still kind of in its infancy, but I had a profile, and I would browse through as you do. Doom scrolling is what we call it now. I don't know if it had that name then. But I came across a gentleman. He'd made a Facebook group for housing issues because his daughter was dealing with some very, very bad housing conditions in North Carolina. And for the love of me, I cannot remember what post is out there. I only ever was at Fort Bliss. Um, Brag or Benning. Somebody in the comments is going to kill me. Just be kind. I was a truck driver, okay? Didn't need a high ASVAB score for that. Even um, yeah. So ASVAB waivers were in the 88 mic. Um, so anyway, he was out in North Carolina. He was posting, "Hey, I heard that Fort Bliss is having a neighborhood demolished, and it's the same housing company between both of these posts." So he wanted people to share experiences out of Van Horn, and so I did. And it wasn't good. Van Horn Van Horn was known for having asbestos in the what passed as an attic space, but it wasn't well sealed off. It was getting into the ventilation. The drywall would have black mold coming right through the wall. Didn't matter how much paint you put on it. Um, Allegedly, and I don't ever heard if this was accurate, but allegedly, it came from a very cheap supplier. It had been sitting out for a while before they built these homes, and the black mold was literally in the drywall. And so, of course, it would migrate its way through to the surface. And then there was this form that you could fill out. I think it's a fairly standard thing if you're renting, which effectively is what you were doing on military housing. You get an allowance for living, and if you're living in military housing, they just take it back, basically. So it's like renting, except you don't have to pay, kind of. You know, you have an allowance for it. But a standard form for maintenance, or at least what I understand to be a standard form, was, hey, if you're not home, do we have permission to enter the house to fix things? The Army schedule, what it is, I was almost never home, especially as a truck driver. We were all over the place. Different training areas. Fort Bliss's training area is roughly the size of Rhode Island. It's 1.1 million acres. So it was not uncommon for me to do 12 to 18-hour days. So I signed the form. But hey, if the house needs something, go on in and fix it. And I want to say I signed that form before I even deployed. And when I come home, I had found that they had painted the exterior doors of the house, but they never opened the doors. They had permission to enter the house, but to paint the exterior doors of the house, they didn't even open them. They had painted around the door handle on the front door. And of course, that leaves a border of unpainted door where the door frame is. And at the back door, they had put so many layers of paint, they painted it, that I had to kick it open multiple times. Like I'm holding the doorknob and just everything I can put into a kick. And it took me 5 or 10 minutes to get this door open from the outside, kicking it in. And I was like, that's a fire hazard. Of course, they didn't care. But I had taken care of it already, right? This is a past issue. I want to emphasize these were past issues that I was mentioning. And then there was one at a neighbor home, the house right next to me. And I don't fault the housing company for this initial issue. The family that had lived there previously was nasty in every sense of the word, right? There was something like 27 cockroach nests in the kitchen cabinets alone. I'm not making that up. It's one of those, it's too ridiculous to make up. And that is not something, obviously, that I hold the housing company accountable for. They weren't living there, they didn't do that. However, when they turned the house for the new resident to move in, they just painted right over the cockroaches on the wall. You could see them under the paint. They were still there. And so I posted this in that Facebook group, right? Figured why not? It's a private Facebook group. Asked for some examples of what Van Horn was like. Here's some examples of what Van Horn is like. These had all been addressed. These were previous past examples. They were not ongoing. And one day I get home from the motor pool and I fire up Facebook and I see that I've got a private message, which was unusual. I only had a handful of people, and I either served with them or they were friends from back home. And in any case, we primarily spoke through text messages or phone calls. So to get a private message on Facebook was very unusual at the time. And so I click on it, and it comes up and said it was Edward Manning. Who the hell is Edward Manning? I got about 2 lines into it. Garrison Commander, Colonel Edward Manning, Fort Bliss, Texas, had seen my concerns about my housing. And he was informing me that a member of my chain of command would be by that day. This was in the evening, by the way, when I got this message. But he informed me that a member of my chain of command would be by that day to inspect my quarters, to make sure everything was in order. That if they did not, that the next day, I was to inform the Garrison Command Sergeant Major that my chain of command had failed to inspect my quarters. Now, complicate matters, I was still a young soldier. I was a specialist, but I was just over 2 years of service, and 15 months of that was in Iraq. So garrison life wasn't something I really understood yet. But what I was told was the unit I was in at the time was the 377th Transportation Company, Go Heavy Truck. But we were a direct FORSCOM element. I deployed with FORSCOM on both shoulders of my ACUs. We didn't have a division. We didn't have a brigade. We didn't have a battalion. We deployed as a company element. And what I had been told all along is that our official chain of command was on Fort Hood. I knew nobody was going to be coming by my quarters to inspect it. It was never going to happen. Certainly not the same day. Now, what I didn't know, and what I understood later, is we did have a battalion and brigade at Fort Bliss for the purposes of UCMJ, because you have to be able to escalate, appeal up the line if you're getting an administrative punishment of any kind. You have to be able to have a review process, an upper echelon to go to. So we did, at least for organizational purposes, have a battalion and brigade on Fort Bliss. I didn't know that at the time. Didn't know who they were. I don't think they knew who we were. No one really cared about the 377th Transportation Company. If you wanted to look up the definition of black sheep, my unit was next to it in the dictionary. So I informed my squad leader of what was going on. And the next day, I called the Garrison Command Sergeant Major and said that nobody had come by my quarters or my house to inspect it. I've never done a scripted video before, so I've got some notes to make sure I get the timeline right here. So I called the Command Sergeant Major. I think I got his receptionist. And she informed me that because nobody from my chain of command had come by to inspect my quarters, the Garrison Command Sergeant Major was going to do it himself. I was an E4 specialist. Made a Facebook post. Why would the Garrison Commander of Fort Bliss care about that? Especially when it was prior resolved. There was nothing ongoing. I wasn't complaining about my current house. I knew something was up, but I didn't know what. So a time gets scheduled. I want to say 1500 the next day. And I'm allowed to go home midday to meet the Garrison Command Sergeant Major because he's going to show up. I need to be there. But 15:30 comes around and he's not there. So I call his receptionist. Oh, sorry, something came up. Shocking. He's the Garrison Command Sergeant Major. Something came up. He's going to have to reschedule. We'll let you know. Right around 1700, I got a phone call from a sergeant who claimed to be with my battalion. Again, I wouldn't have known. She could have said she was from whatever battalion and made up a number, and I would have gone, sure, of course you are. I had no idea who my battalion on Fort Bliss was. So I believed her, and she said, hey, would you mind if myself and my first sergeant come by your quarters and let's inspect things. Let's figure out what your issues are. And on the onset there, I told her, I said, look, these are past issues. Nothing is wrong with my quarters right now. They said, well, then this should be a pretty easy conversation, right? Let us come on by and take a look. So I invite them over. And they showed up within, 30 or 40 minutes. Walked them to the house, walked them around the house, inside, upside down, whatever you want to say. They agreed. There were no outstanding issues with the house, and they left. And I thought that was pretty much going to be it. And about another half an hour goes by, and I get a call from my squad leader. And he had been informed that a report had been filed about my house, stating that my children had nowhere to sleep, the house was unlivable, and I had abandoned vehicles in my backyard. And that my squad leader was further ordered to assemble a cleaning squad to come clean my house. Now, I talked him out of that. I said, Sergeant, don't do that. I will take care of the house. I need you to understand, Sergeant, that that was a false report. And I was on good standing with him. It took a little convincing, because obviously that meant he had to violate a direct order. But he had no reason to suspect that my house looked like that. He hadn't been there, but I was a good soldier. I was the one that they would give the new privates to oversee, so that they were taken care of, right? So the idea that I was some sort of a liability with my own housing really was an outstanding idea. It wasn't, a big stretch for him to accept that my place was okay. And so I talk him out of it. Except now, that was a Friday. And now the Garrison Command Sergeant Major has said on no uncertain terms that his Saturday schedule is wide open. And he will be at my house. So I spend the night. I don't sleep. I call a buddy. Doesn't matter how clean your house is. That level of scrutiny, it can be cleaner. And so we did. We damn near white gloved the place. Find a speck of dust. We got rid of it. So prior to the Command Sergeant Major showing up at my house, now it's a big deal. My squad leader's there. My platoon sergeant's there. My first sergeant is there. I greet them at the door. It's Saturday, but I'm in ACUs. Garrison Command Sergeant Major showing up at my house. I'm going to be in uniform. My first sergeant rolls up, not in uniform. Looks at me and goes, "What are you doing? It's your house. It's a weekend. You don't need to be in uniform." I'm like, be in uniform. Now, the house was not trashed. The house was not. My kids had a beautiful bedroom. Large, in fact, jealously large. It was a very good room. And I did not have abandoned cars in my backyard. So I'm walking. My platoon sergeant wants to know what kind of a shitstorm he's about to get into. So he says, "Take me in your house. Show me." And so I start walking him through the house. And there's nothing out of place. Not a single, like I said, speck of dust. Find it, we got rid of it. There wasn't anything that you could even try to scrutinize. And we're standing in my boy's bedroom at the time. And again, it's a very large bedroom, but it had probably the most disproportionately small closet. One of those, bifolding doors. If you could fit a person in there, you were doing very well. And he said, "So what's this report I hear about?" I said, "Well, devil's advocate, so to speak here. Let's say that report was accurate, right? I'm not going to call a first sergeant a liar. Specialist Palmer knew better than that. So I said, let's say that report was accurate, Sergeant. Do you believe that I would be able to clean a house from that condition to what you see now this morning by myself over one night? And if you do, where did it go?" He looks around. He goes, "No, there's no way you'd be able to do that. Not over one night." And especially, again, this report came out 1900 the night before. And we're now, it was 1100 or noon, one or the other the next day. One person could not do that. Now, granted, I had one buddy with me, right? But I wasn't going to let them know that. Still, two people in that short amount of time, you would not be able to get rid of an unlivable housing condition where that to the level that kids don't even have anywhere to sleep. So the Garrison Command Sergeant Major shows up, and that sergeant and her first sergeant showed up that filed the report. And I greet them at the door, welcome them in. The Garrison Command Sergeant Major shot that first sergeant in the look and killed him just with his eyes. And we were cordial for about 30 minutes, and I didn't think too much of it. Command Sergeant Major wished me well. Everybody left. Along the way, I'd still been talking with Dave, because this was a matter of a week or two, really, by the time things all drew out. And Dave, by the way, was the gentleman who made the initial Facebook group. And I'm letting him know what's going on, because he's also dealing with issues from his daughter. She's getting, not the same, but pushback. A lot of, where you could tell there was something going on, right? Housing conditions like this shouldn't raise to that level of attention. Garrison Command Sergeant Major should never have been involved in my dispute. There's no reason for that. So I'm informing Dave over and over, hey, this is what's going on. This is where things are at. How are things going with your daughter? Dave, I don't know what he does. We've never met. Dave was having conversations with members of the Pentagon. And I know that because I would get, on my end of things, I would get conversations from other people that I had never heard of. Different colonels were starting to message me. Hey, how you doing? Hey, specialist, we're sorry about what you went through. How can we make it better? Of course, at the same time, those were not the people in command yet. I think he was going to be the incoming garrison commander, but he was not yet. So I've got people looking out for me, but they're not in a position yet of any sort of authority. So I know Dave's out there doing the Lord's work. Somewhere along the way, this ended up stretching over about a year. 300 homes in this neighborhood. Almost every family had some sort of story about what Colonel Manning was threatening. And in a lot of cases, it was he had fabricated allegations of spouses cheating while their soldier was deployed, over and over and over. Like, this was not a little thing. It was fairly well known at this point that Colonel Manning, for whatever reason, had it out for anybody in the Van Horn housing neighborhood. And so I was treading lightly, because it got to a point where all I had to do was go into that Facebook group that David made, private Facebook group, at least I thought. Again, Facebook was still fairly infant. And all I had to do was type Colonel Edward Manning. Nothing else. And that Monday morning, I would be dragged into a battalion or brigade sergeant major's office and get a written counseling statement reminding me that what I post on social media could reflect negatively upon the Army, and I need to watch what I'm saying. So I kind of took a step back publicly. I didn't do anything more on social media, but I still worked with Dave. We spoke quite a few times on the phone. And then, again, it was about a year later, as things are going, when I got a phone call, and this is back in the day. This is early 2010. No smartphones yet. I had caller ID, of course, but it came up and said U.S. Army or U.S. government restricted. And I kind of looked at it for a moment and went, any other day, that's the kind of call I'd ignore. But here I am standing in an Army outfit, an Army uniform, and it says U.S. government restricted. Might want to answer this one. So I do. And the gentleman introduces himself. Name didn't stick. You could have asked me 30 seconds later, because what he said right after his name was, "Hi, I'm with the IG IMCOM's office out of Washington, D.C. We understand there's been a situation at Fort Bliss, and we need you to testify." Now, the IG, that's Inspector General. IMCOM is the division or the branch or department that oversees housing and garrison issues, at least as it was explained to me. So this is about as serious as it comes. And I said, "So you need me to testify now?" And he goes, "Oh no, this is an unsecured line. Your post's IG office is waiting for you to be sworn in. You need to proceed there now." And so I do. I give the full account. I've left some things out in this video. It was 15 years ago. It's not like I'm leaving them out intentionally. The finer details and the timeline, it's not part of my day-to-day life anymore. So a certain amount of it is kind of foggy. But I gave them the whole accounting. I had it. It wasn't that long after this had initially happened. So I gave them a full accounting of what had gone on. They thanked me for my testimony. Instructed me not to communicate to anybody with what I had told them because it was an ongoing open investigation at the federal level. IG's office in Washington, D.C. Pretty sure that's that 5-sided puzzle box. I never got an official update, but all of a sudden, the garrison commander and garrison command sergeant major were mysteriously transferred to Germany. They were not due to PCS. I think they had another 1.5 or 2 years of their scheduled tenure at Fort Bliss, but they just mysteriously were transferred. And I got to say, there was a lot of that process, a lot of that period where I was terrified. And not because I was so much worried about what might happen to me, but because what could happen to me could affect my children. I had 3 kids at the time. And a wife. I am now divorced. I have 50% custody of my youngest. My older 3 are adults. So my life is different now. But even then, I spoke truth to power. I've never backed away from that. When I know I'm right, I'm going to tell you I'm right. And when I know you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. I'm going to do it respectfully. If you've got a position of authority or prominence or whatever the case may be, there's decorum to consider, right? Customs and courtesies, as we called it in the military, AR 600-20. And I'm going to be in accordance with all that. But if you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. And if I'm right, I'm going to tell you why I'm right. And I did that, and I felt fairly proud of myself for getting through that the way I did. I like to say I didn't necessarily win, because that housing company, to my knowledge, is still in charge of post housing on many, many posts across the U.S., if not across Oconus as well. So larger change wasn't enacted, but I didn't lose either. It came at me at very high levels, and I walked away without a single official reprimand, except I think one negative counseling statement about, again, how I post on social media. That didn't end up amounting to anything. I'm not even sure it was permanently filed. More of a slap on the wrist, considering what could have happened to me from the levels that it was coming down from. Since retiring from the military in 2013, I've decided to become a very active veterans advocate, and I rather unfortunately have never had to look for a hard case. Always find me. I jokingly call myself the Dr. House of veterans advocacy. The cases that, if they could be solved easily, you would go to a normal veteran service officer, veteran service organization, your legions, VFWs, whatever you. And you would go there and they would help you. There's always that 1 or 2, tragically, that those organizations can't help, where you have to kind of muddy the waters occasionally and work in the gray areas. And occasionally bend a rule or 2. Nick, pad electrician, calls it the, what does he call them? Huh. Not unheroes. Wow, I just totally brain farted. I think it might be unhero. Anyway, it's the kind of people, it's your Deadpools, right? That go out and do the right thing, but don't mind getting bloody along the way. I have no problems getting bloody. I have no problems rolling up my sleeves and going face first into a problem where most people would run away from. And when I heard about what we're going to look at here in a minute, and this is going to be a long video, but when I heard about what we're going to look at in a minute, my sleeves are rolled up. I'm ready to get bloody. I have time. I will call who I have to call. I have senators in my phone. I have representatives in my House of Representatives in my phone. And I will call whoever I have to call, and I will be relentless. This change has to come. These children, look, we're going to get into it. And again, I'm not sure how much I'm going to actually react during this video. I'm going to try and throw in my 2 cents occasionally. But more, what I want to do by playing these videos is attempt to bring them on more of an audience. I don't have much of one on YouTube yet, but that's not the reason to not talk about it. The fact that I don't have a big audience right now is not an excuse to stay quiet. And I'm gonna, as I said in the description, they've created a website, kind of whistleblower-ish. Has this happened to you? You have information that could help, and you can report anonymously. Take the high road, if I remember right, and it's HY. But again, it'll be in the description. Or if I'm good enough, I'll try to put it there. If I'm good enough. I don't do long form videos normally. I'm a streamer. But it will definitely be in the description. I can do that. That's I can handle that. So we're gonna jump into probably 2 videos. We're gonna watch the initial, and I'm gonna watch the update video. Change needs to happen. And if anybody's watching this, anybody from the Unsubscribed podcasts sees my little video with an audience of nobody, if you happen to see this, I want in. I want in. I'm ready to fight. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about and who the heck is this guy and why is he so mad, I'm about to make you mad too. And some of this is very sensitive. This involves children and abuse. And he doesn't back away from talking about what needs to be talked about. But the subject matter does need some discretion. So be advised.
So again, viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unsubscribed podcast. Rich has something important to say, and we would like for you all to hear it.
You ready to get sued?
Yeah. No.
Let's go. All right. So this is this is real, and this can affect my life, but it's at the moment where it's one of those things where you got to do the right thing or not. And I didn't want to ruin the actual podcast with it. I wanted to wait till later on just in case. So here's the deal. I've been in SVU in the Buffalo Police Department for 2 years, and there was a space in between where I left SVU, the Special Victims Unit, and I went to 2 other. I got promoted to lieutenant, and then went to the FBI and assisted with that, and I'm back in SVU. But during those 2 years, even before then, there has been an issue where the Buffalo school system, specifically their legal representatives in the city, like the city attorneys that specifically work for Buffalo Public Schools, right? So I'm not sure if that's the city of Buffalo buying these attorneys and having them protect them, or if it's like the schools, like lawyers for the schools as their own thing.
I should have said, for those of you who might be familiar with Rich, the gentleman there in the magnificent tank top, he also goes by the moniker of Angry Cops on pretty much every social media platform there is. In addition to being an SVU detective in the city of Buffalo, New York, he's also a U.S. Army Reserve drill sergeant currently. This is a man who knows what he's talking about and who's been through some really dark stuff.
But either way, long story short, the Buffalo school system has been intentionally not reporting the assaults of student between student, and then has also used the Buffalo Police Department's school resource officers to write reports and then had their influence over those officers to then close the reports. And that's a story I'll get into.
Right. So soft pitch, why are they doing that?
I don't know. My best estimate is that they're afraid or don't want the numbers to show that there are these police investigations occurring at their schools or assaults occurring at their schools because it could affect funding or something somehow, which, by the way, is fucking stupid.
So being a parent, I think, and I try to stay involved in my kids' schools, my take, what I understand of how school works and financing for schools works, it's about graduation numbers, and it's about keeping the parent crime rate down, because if you get into a high risk area with school districts, from my understanding, they will cut funding. So a certain amount of it is funding, and I think a certain amount of this is just arrogant reputation.
If a crime happens at a school, it doesn't mean that funding is then stopped or prevented from going to that school. Oftentimes, if there's a problem, people will pour money into that problem to fix it.
People will.
And I'm going to
but I
give
think
you an
the
example.
State will cut funding
This is a real example.
to a degree.
There's a school that's attached to the Buffalo Science Museum. That school that's attached to the Buffalo Science Museum has doors that can go from the Science Museum into the school. Those doors are not locked. Individuals can get into them, right? Stranger danger, right? And that happened. So a stranger went into the school. It's a grade school. It's a very low school. And this person grabbed a male and a female child.
It's a very low school.
Low grade school.
So like first through fifth.
Yeah. So kids under the age of 10.
Oh, fuck.
So it goes into the school and grabs a young female child and a male child and tries to leave. And I'm gonna parcel this story up in kind of the way that the information came in. At first, the information that came in was that there was one female child that was an attempted abduction. There was no report about the second child. Kind of a big deal. The second child, the boy, had pissed himself. And when his parents came, sorry, I'm getting fucked up. When his parents came to pick him up.
Take your time, brother.
Yeah, sorry.
It's hard to see. SVU detective. Choked up. Imagine what that
Give me a
takes.
second.
You good?
Because you know they see the worst of everything as a part of their daily job.
When his parents came to pick him up, the school did not disclose to the parent that the kid was a part of an attempted abduction. So when parents asked him, why did my kid piss his pants at school? The teachers and the people in charge did not tell them that there was an attempted abduction. The school then deleted the video of the attempted abduction.
The fuck?
And the district attorney's office,
is a crime.
And the district attorney's
itself.
office only got it because somebody within the school had the wherewithal to record it and then give it to them. The district attorney's office has sent subpoenas, so like court order documents from judges that are signed, to the school's legal representatives. And those representatives have intentionally not responded to them. Now, here's the weird thing, which is like this is the biggest issue right here. Is that specific one is the one that sent me over the edge. Obviously, I'm emotional from it. So, the biggest issue with this entire story, well, one of the issues with this entire story, is that when subpoenaed, these legal representatives for the Buffalo School Department are ignoring the subpoenas and not responding to them, but being obstructionists and actually giving information to school administrators and school personnel to not talk to the police or assist the police in any way. In fact, to obstruct us, like intentionally, do not do these things. Here's how you prevent the police from doing their job. So, and here's where like this crux is coming in, why it's kind of a whistleblower thing is there are people that are trying to get this information from the schools, and the main obstructionist are these lawyers who, once again, I said, are ignoring subpoenas and court orders. And
Also
the only
crimes.
way that you can overcome that is if somebody from the court system judge, Attorney General's office in New York State, the Attorney General of the United States, comes down and says, why are you not responding to these court orders? You're ordered to respond to them and you're not.
That's contempt of
And
court.
in this
if I'm not
specific
mistaken.
case, you know, like destruction of evidence, you know, which is huge. And then not telling one of the, you know, the kid's parents.
Now, if somebody comes forward, you said somebody had the wherewithal to record the surveillance video or whatever it was.
Yeah.
If somebody comes forward with that, that's still usable as evidence.
So they
right?
have to, that person, that's a weird thing about New York State. And I'm not a lawyer and my knowledge is limited in that, but from my understanding, you need to have somebody confirm the authenticity of the recording. So let's say that it's a CCTV of like a corner store. The manager or a worker would have to show up to court and say that is the video that from my store. When it comes from, and I don't know if this is how it was done, but let's say like a cell phone recorded CCTV footage, and then they were like, hey, they deleted the real CCTV footage, and then gave it to the assistant district attorney. You would need somebody to authenticate that, which would, and this is where the legal process is weird to me. I'm not sure if that means that the individual that sent the CCTV recording from their phone would have to state, I'm so and so. I recorded that with my phone. I was in the office of such and such school, and this is recording of our CCTV footage. Or if that means that any representative from the school can say, no, what that person recorded is our CCTV footage.
Gotcha. So whoever recorded versus anyone can say yes and verify that.
So
was
I'm not sure. Like that's something for like the lawyers to do. I'm not sure how that process goes, but
school district did that.
dude, I'm telling you, it's a lot of the schools. When I say that's the worst example that I have, which is obviously a horrible example, I can't tell you the amount of shit that I have to go through in order to go to a school, talk to a principal and say, what did the kid tell you? And they'll go, I can't talk to you. I've got to talk to my lawyers. You're like, it's in your job to protect the kids. I can't tell you how many. I'll tell you another one. I had a girl that was, man, I don't get fucked up.
That's fucking wild. Like, especially if your own kiddo
Not
and
even
you don't
scratching
even
the
know. They
surface
come
yet.
home, they're scared, they're confused, they have no
Yeah, and
idea
I've
what
seen
just
this.
happened, and then no one's telling them. Like,
you
it
were
sounds
a
like they
parent,
made
the
up stuff.
loyalty to the money above the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Gotta be
I
money.
think it's a mix of fear. I think it's the fear of
At the top, it's got to be money.
there's a lot of shit there. I don't think it's like dirty money. I think it's a fear of losing your job. It's a fear of the people that are above you that are going to come back and get you. I think it's the fear of stepping out of line and then getting, reprimanded.
Bystander.
But like one of the cases that I had is a girl went to she got beat by her dad, who's a blood. He's a piece of shit. She got beat by her dad, and she went to a school counselor and said, my dad beats me. And the school counselor didn't report it. The school counselor's like notes were like, this kid's a liar. She lies a lot about like how cool she was at another school. And you're like, oh, that's normal kid lying shit. What do I give a f about that? So she didn't report it. And then the next incident happened where this girl had a video recording of, I forget if it was either her dad post beating her or if it was during the beating or if it was of her injuries. I think it was of her dad punching her. And she walks into the counselor's office while she's with another girl, plays the video, and the woman's like, is that you? And she's like, yeah, that's me. And then the girl walks out of the office. And then later on in the day, the counselor goes up to her and is like, hey, listen, what's going on with that video? Like, is that you? Like, what's going on? She's like, yeah, that's me. My dad beats me all the time. And then the kid walked away. Not reported. Not reported to CPS, not reported to the police. The third time is when my case comes in. The kid comes into school beaten and bruised and swollen, and then they remove the kid from the parent's custody, right? And then that's when I get the investigation of child abuse.
But it took 3 fucking times to
It
get
took
to
3
you.
times. The first time, it's easy. Hey, CPS, this girl says that she got beat. I don't really know what's going on. here you go. And then CPS begins an investigation. And then the law enforcement referral from CPS comes to me. And then if CPS brings her in, does an interview, and it's valid, I go talk to dad and arrest him. That didn't happen the first time. The second time, there's video fucking proof that she's got a video on her phone and shows you. And then you do nothing. And yeah. And so like that, those are the two. That's one that I'm directly involved in. That's one that I happen to know about that I'm not investigating. And I can tell you that myself and the people in my unit are concerned, but we've made complaints, and people in my chain of command above me have made complaints, and we've had to go back to be like, let's look at this address of the school.
What's the
Aaron, what would
what's
you
the
do?
outcome you want on this? Like what
would you do?
I don't.
I want the one school counselor that I investigated arrested for failing to report. You're not a school counselor if you don't know how to tell people that a child's being abused. She needs to be arrested, or at least charged. If you want to put her on probation, fucking fine. But something needs to happen. And I'm not saying it
the
needs to
license.
happen as like there's no legal system. I'm saying that there has to be a repercussion, so then people who see if you don't report because you didn't report, that there's
Basically,
repercussions.
So like the people aren't reporting because they're worried the system will fuck them.
That counselor
But if you
should be
don't
held
report,
liable for
the system will
abuse you.
So-
Like you need to do your job.
It's like this dual concern, right? You don't have to talk to the police. Like everybody has their own individual rights for self-preservation. You know, your Fourth Amendment rights. You don't have to Miranda rights. You don't have to talk to me. But it's different when you're a mandated reporter.
That's right.
And it's different when parents aren't being told why their kid. If you've got a kid, you've got a kid. You don't have a kid yet. Not you either.
Do you have
If
a
you
kid?
picked up your fucking toddler from school and they pissed themselves and they're crying, and you're like, oh my God, what's Jimmy? What's going on with you? The first thing you do is go up to the teacher and be like, hey, what happened? And you would expect a real answer. Somebody tried to steal Jimmy. What you wouldn't expect is for that school to delete video footage. What you wouldn't expect is for that school to be like, oh, you know what? I'm not sure. Something happened. You'll have to talk to an administrator about it. I'm not sure. About it. It's people that are afraid of doing the right thing. Like these school teachers and principals are afraid to do the right thing. And like I said, we can guess why. I've got my own hypothesis. This is why. But either way,
Why doesn't
they're
matter.
failing to do the right thing for one reason or another.
And it does.
And some of them are bad. And I'll give you another example. This case might have been a fluke. It could have been like, kids experimenting and then one of them got scared. It could have been absolutely nothing. It still could be absolutely nothing. I've left 6 messages on a principal's voicemail saying, hey, I just need you to talk to me. I need the phone numbers of the parents. I only have the phone numbers of the kids. I don't want to call the kids. Please give me the phone numbers of the parents, of the adults of these kids, of the police report that you called 911.
At this point, what I'm going to do is move to the more recent update. Because the more recent update on this has a lot more information. So that's the background. That's kind of the initial. And then I want to get, should be this one. Give me just a second. This one's a lot more in depth. But it builds off of what I just showed you. So that's why I wanted to start with that one.
Accountability? Buffalo Public School System?
Sounds like justice is being obstructed.
They're just clipping couple second segments out.
Wow,
So,
I wonder what that's like.
speaking of, you guys want to sue one of the news channels? Oh,
get ready for
I built an entire
The fight has
case to
started
sue
now.
one of the news channels.
Nick
This is how we
unfolds
can
the
get
binder
involved.
of doom.
You get what you deserve.
Say hi
And I'm
to
going to let this one run. I'm not going to cut this one off
He's racially ambiguous, Brandon.
because it deserves
His
to be
hair is
seen. But
fabulous.
that first one, they didn't know a lot
The
yet.
dark joke disposition.
So it was just I was playing that as background because otherwise some of what they discuss here wouldn't make sense.
Did we do the
But
pop for
this
this
one
one?
has
Did
a
we
lot
pop
more
the top for
information.
this one?
Yeah, for
Fuck
Ed.
it.
For Ed. Oh yeah, we gotta
yeah.
do it for Ed. That
Was it-
poor
what
guy's
is it,
like,
Dranch?
It's finally
He's such a
over.
piece of shit.
It's Ed Dranch.
I think it's Ed Dranch.
Yeah. You Ed.
Ed Dranch.
DRA. I think Dranch.
The D is silent.
Ed.
No, it's not.
On the count of Ed. 1, 2, Ed.
Do we have wine glasses?
Yeah, we should be classy. We should put this in
Do we have a wine
glasses.
glass? I should put this in a wine
That
glass like
electrician
the
there on the
Buffalo
left.
School Board member.
Watch
Is
him.
there any?
That's okay, though. That makes it
Spoiler.
fancy.
That's right.
Yeah, try not to burp.
It's okay. I'm on a podcast where I'm supposed to be drinking. She's in a school board meeting open to the public, drinking cranberry juice out of a wine glass that she slams and then proceeds to flip off the camera screaming, "F you bitch."
Which was fucking crazy. Like I thought it was an exaggeration when
No.
you sent it. It's exactly what happened.
Yep, that's exactly. And the best part, just so you know that Buffalo School Systems is like super into like telling the truth and doing the right thing. The school board member, when she got called out on it by the other school board members, you want to know what she did?
Denied it.
She said, "That's not true, and I'm looking at pursuing legal action against that fellow school board member for slandering me."
That's crazy because just recently they said that's not true and we're thinking of pursuing legal action.
Wait,
Yeah, I
that
know.
was about me though, about the thing that I said. That's
I
true.
know. And then you know what happened? The video came out. And then she apologized. And then everybody got mad and said, "You need to forgive her because she said sorry. And we can't hold adults accountable for their actions, apparently."
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unsubscribed Podcast. I'm joined today by Eli Double Tap, Fat Electrician, our good friend Angry Cops, who has a lot to talk about, Brandon Herrera, myself, Talented Operator. Thank you so much for being here.
You missed his binder.
Nick's binder.
A special appearance.
Gigantic fucking binder.
Be the bigger
Be the
bully.
bigger bully. Today's episode, we're going to have Rich. This is going to conclude everything or get hopefully everything in the right direction as we.
Conclude is not the right word.
I mean,
this is far from done.
Nick unfolds the binder of doom, his 3-ring war book.
Oh, but real quick, we since we were already on it, homegirl that denied.
Yeah, editor, I'll get you the video. Go
go
ahead
to
and
the
throw up
footage.
the video of the Honorable Paulette Woods slamming her glass of wine, then flipping off the school board and saying, "Shut the f up, bitch," repeatedly. She then goes on to say that never happened and I'm going to sue whoever says I did it. And then the video comes out and she's like, "I'm sorry," on a podium. This is also, I can get you the video for this too. She's at the podium and she like does her apology. Then she has her bishop come up, or like her priest or pastor, religious leader, whatever. He comes up and starts screaming at the audience and is like, "She apologized and you guys need to accept this. This is nothing more," this is their quote, "This is nothing more than the high-tech lynching."
It is unacceptable that after giving an apology to our colleagues and constituents, that you choose to do a public high-tech lynching of a black woman.
Which is a wild fucking thing to say.
Yeah.
As somebody that's read a ton of historical accounts of black war heroes who fought in World War II that literally had their fathers or uncles or brothers go through something like that, and then for you to equate that, just the unjustified, lawless killing of somebody for the color of their skin, to people being upset that you were in a school board meeting saying, "Shut the f up, bitch," and flipping off the camera while drinking, is fucking disgusting, and that alone should disqualify you from overseeing the education of children.
Oh,
What
she's
does
still
she
on the
do?
board.
She's still on the
She's
board.
still on the board.
She's a board
wow.
member. She's a sitting board member.
Was she the spokesperson when everything first came out, when they had that big meeting, that initial meeting?
That was the superintendent. I forget her name. It's hyphenated. It just is.
It's like I don't remember her name, but it's hyphenated.
Something or all.
I get it, Rich. I get it.
just that's f***ing absurd to me because that's just basic general accountability.
Not with Buffalo Schools, it's not.
Accountability? Buffalo Public School System?
Like this is a high-tech lynching. It's like no, this is just us accusing you of something you were on camera doing.
Holding somebody
Ma'am,
accountable
there's
to their
video
own
footage.
actions.
This is a Wendy's.
What a wild idea.
I don't know. It's disgusting behavior.
Fucking absurd.
Yeah. So I guess where do you guys want to go from
Rich,
here?
give us an update on where
Open the
you're
binder,
starting
Nick.
right now. You've done like the podcast run, then now
Yep.
you're finally slowing down on that side. But what was the recourse, or what is everything happening now with you?
Okay. So it's been like what, 3 weeks, I think? 3 full weeks. We're going into the 4th. So it started off with our initial buzz, and then I went in right away to do an interview with Channel 7. They did a 27-minute long interview, and they only put up like 3 to 4 minutes of its entirety. That was it. the news attacked me for about 3 or 4 days.
Now, High has made headlines numerous times in the past. The Attorney General's office had found High had been, quote, repeatedly discourteous and unprofessional.
This is ridiculous.
What is this?
This is crazy. I'm listening to all these guys burp and just be absolutely foul.
You're looking at like the White Claws on the table.
And
is
so
alcohol involved here?
My
Where
first
are they?
thought is, okay, this can't actually be real.
I don't think there's ever been another case that has come out like this. It's so 2025, right? It comes out on the podcast and
bizarre.
And then our autistic army decided to show them they might want to reconsider coming after somebody that might be looking out for the welfare of children in the city of Buffalo, especially when we have a binder worth of information that we got just from OSINT, just from open source intelligence gathering.
Just wait until those FOIA requests
things you
start
can
coming
get from
back.
open source
Oh,
intelligence.
yes. So
I hope they don't, so I can sue them. Actually,
it'll be great. So Nick starts doing the FOIA requests. I start getting
information
calls
requests.
from different news agencies. I'm not going on the local news anymore at all, unless it's the radio with David Bellavia, because he's been
Shout out to him.
fantastic.
Yeah, he's
David
amazing.
Bellavia's got a radio show on WBEN.
Why
Who's the other guy? Ben, I think, too.
Ben's on Channel 2.
Is he?
Yep.
But he's been doing good.
Or no, Ben Tees from the Buffalo News.
Nate Benson is on Channel 2. He's
Yep.
doing great. And then Ben T is with Buffalo News. He's also doing great.
Yeah, Ben's been very funny to watch, even just on Twitter or X or whatever. That's been very fun.
That's the one with the autistic army. We're like, let him through.
Stop.
They all stand to the side and
Do not touch him. Yeah, careful. He's a hero.
they're all standing at parade rest, double saluting.
So after the first week of like this onslaught of bullshit on coming towards me and me bearing the brunt of it, and then our army pushing back and saying, wait a second, why are you doing this? We should be looking into this.
Cameras probably
You shouldn't be
shouldn't have
shooting
AI.
the messenger, even though he has a fantastic mug, which you can now get at Bunker Branding. And shirt.
That shirt.
Down the wrong pipe. So then Channel 2 special investigative reporter actually did a little bit of a deep dive and discovered that since 2021, there have been over 17,000 police calls to the city of Buffalo.
17,772.
To be exact. And about 54% of them fall under miscellaneous or information only, which is fine. If you get like a school board or like, I don't know, like a school door was left open and it sounded the alarm and you're like, all right, miscellaneous or alarm. It actually would go under an alarm call. Well, I stated originally that the schools were using these miscellaneous calls in order to cover up incidents of abuse on the children from either child on child or a child coming in and making a disclosure to the schools. Well, what do you know? Out of the past 4 major incidents that have gotten tons of news coverage from the city of Buffalo public school system, one of them being a stabbing or a shooting at McKinley, one of them I think was a stabbing. There was an overdose incident and something else.
The teacher,
and the kidnapping.
The teacher gave the kids THC gummies, and the kidnapping, alleged kidnapping that he's
So,
now getting charged for. They're all school other.
The crazy one was the one with the teacher that warned them about that door. They're like, hey, students are taking knives through this door.
The stabbing in Riverside.
Yeah, they're like, no, that's not a problem. Student gets fucking stabbed from a knife that was snuck in through that door, and then they denied it.
Oh, I have the footage. Yeah. So in the footage, the teacher actually wrote up a thing, and I looked into him. He's the union rep for that school. Okay. So he wrote up a thing like, hey, I've had students bring in large knives into the school. They get them through school security because these schools have metal detectors or some screening process. They're getting them in through this door that's not locked and has a bad door. And he wrote every school board member and sent it to him repeatedly for, I believe it was like 19 months that he kept pushing it.
God.
Was the reply, you bitch?
He apparently in their process, you have to push it up the chain of command, and there's 3 levels to get something approved. The first level was denied, and that's just like your direct administrator. He denied it. It's like, no, it's not a problem. He appealed it and pushed it up to the school board, and the school board denied it. Then he was still pushing to have it reviewed a 3rd time, and then it's on the superintendent. Between the 2nd and 3rd time, the stabbing at Riverside happened. That he was trying to get the issue fixed before it became a potentially fatal issue. And then they magically approved it on the third iteration after somebody had to get stabbed.
Which is what he complains about. He says, this is reactionary. Why are we reactionary?
He calls it, because that recording was before the stabbing, or right after. And he goes, you guys had to wait until somebody got stabbed, just like I predicted. And sure enough, somebody got stabbed. Now you're going to approve it.
Yep.
And then the school board member has the balls to stand up there and be like, you never told us about this.
Oh, starts getting in a screaming match with him.
Yeah. And like all the other
you.
teachers give him a standing ovation as he's walking away. So I'll get the editor of the video. You can go ahead and play it. It's like 2 or 3 minutes. It's crazy.
I just want to be clear that all the time we spend here in this fantasy land world, when students at Riverside are getting stabbed, there's fights there every single day. 911 is called on a regular basis, and no one has even come into the school and had a meeting like this and talked to parents and talked to teachers and talked to our students and said, how can we protect? Excuse me, this is my time. This is my time, sir. This is my time, sir.
If you would have came to me and told me a situation about a knife, at that point, I would have called the authorities and took the proper action with the
Okay, know what you asked me? I can refresh your memory if you want to talk.
Mr. Hurd, the speaker has the floor.
I told you about the knife.
The speaker has the floor.
Thank you. I filed a grievance 19 months ago, and it was very detailed. In that grievance, I talked about how a student brought a knife in the side door. It's written in the grievance, which I sent to you all. Guess what? The student who, the non-student who stabbed the student in our school, guess what door they came in? That same door. And they were in the building that day, and no one even told us. The DA had to tell us on the news. We had to do our own investigation. So there's a student with most likely a weapon in our building, and no one's sharing that with us. I'm gonna say this. This district has done nothing, and I told you, what's it gonna take? Someone getting stabbed or shot to have someone come in the building? And that's exactly what it takes, because no one has lifted a finger for security at Riverside High School. It's a dog and pony show every single time. You send in people for a week, it disappears, and then it's a disaster again. These kids and these teachers deserve better. And if you can't do the job, then all of you should have the dignity to resign and let someone else do it.
Thank you, Mr. Plummer.
Insane. So we go to that where Channel 2, the investigative reporter, pulls out the stats and says, hey, wait a second, look at these numbers. These are concerning. These 4 major cases were all intentionally mislabeled as something other than what they actually were, whether it be stabbing, shooting, overdose, etc. Then, shit, I lost my train of thought. What happened after that? There was the 21 thing, and then, oh yeah, then that's right. Then the guy that did the attempted kidnapping of the 2 kids.
When was that? When was that?
Well, going back to the stabbing at Riverside, I believe, from what I can tell, there's been independent third-party investigations launched for the Riverside stabbing and for the shooting at McKinley in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of those independent third-party investigations launched by the school board have been released to the public or the Buffalo PD or the legal system.
Who's the third party in these situations?
Whoever they pick.
Yeah.
Right now it's open. Any law firm can get on their website right now and apply to be the third party investigator. And I believe with the Riverside stabbing, I looked into it, and the law firm that they did then cited, assumingly they found results that they didn't like. So the law firm's like, well, this is actually attorney-client privilege, so we don't have to give this to you.
Is that their workaround so they can just do it?
Yeah, so this is a workaround. They're gonna say, oh, we're gonna do a third-party independent investigation, and then once we have the results, if we don't like them, we're gonna claim it's attorney-client privilege and never mention it to the public, and the public's gonna forget about it by then.
So it doesn't require an investigation. It's just fact.
Yeah.
Is the crazy part. What are you going to look into? It's going to take you a fucking afternoon if you're not clinically retarded.
Right. Yeah. And they had a 4.5-hour meeting the other day trying to appoint a special investigator. 4.5 hours, couldn't figure out who they were even going to have do the investigation.
Guys, when you leave your dogs at home, do you ever worry that they might...
I'm going to skip past their ad reads. I respect that they need them, but...
the end result of that one.
So that's one thing to look out for or really stress moving forward is not letting that happen as they hire a new one.
Yeah, they'll have somebody investigate
They're intentionally not going to hire a new one. I can't prove it. I can't prove it with evidence, but I have multiple people that have all basically said, well, the superintendent's retiring in June and she has 3 or 4 friends on the school board and they're basically going to stall this until she gets her good retirement, and then they'll let it go to an investigation. So they're just trying to drag this out as long as possible.
So, by the way, as of this recording, or as of this video right here, today is Sunday, July 27th. This past Tuesday, they did install their new superintendent. I'm still looking into him. There's some questions. So this video came out 2 months ago. So between this video that we're watching and today, the new superintendent is in place.
Protect their buddy. Then they're going to drag it out as long as possible.
Who is this superintendent?
Oh,
The hyphen
Doctor
woman.
something Knight.
The one that's really upset
Yeah.
that she had to shut down her social media and ignore everybody coming to her with concerns.
And who's going to be next appointed? Because you knew who's next in line,
so the
which
next
sets
guy
something to
getting
watch out for.
appointed, I've heard from multiple sources he's not great either. I can pull up his name.
Well, he's friends in that group, so he's already conditioned for this.
Well, there's only like
behavior.
one male in the board, isn't there?
Dr. Tanya Williams Knight.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I got a.
That is not the name of who actually got appointed. So I'm going to try and put that over here.
Hold of the teachers union rep. I sent him an email because one thing the news did that was really shitty is they took the one snippet where you were talking about allegedly one teacher in particular was putting kids inside of a bathroom with the lights off.
Yes.
One teacher is what we said.
Correct.
The news then portrayed it to the teachers union president, Richard Nigro, that we were saying this about all teachers.
Which we're not.
And he was upset. Obviously, like that's fair if you think that we're saying all Buffalo teachers are throwing small children in a cage, which we're not saying at all.
We were
and he's
specific
like,
on that.
you're painting everybody with a broad brush, right? But they're just clipping couple second segments out and portraying it.
On another podcast called Black Rifle Coffee Podcast, High described how some teachers and teacher aides use school bathrooms for so-called timeout rooms.
The Buffalo Public School will put children in the bathroom and turn off the lights and
That's
then
the
put their foot
edited
against the
clip that
door
they
so the
put
kid
out.
can't get out. Where's the timeout room?
This is what
Oh,
Rich
it's the
actually
bathroom.
said.
Timeout room is the bathroom? Yeah. What do you do in the timeout room? Well, my teacher and the teacher's aide, the Buffalo Public School, will put children in the bathroom and turn off the lights.
Wow, I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Geez, the news doing that to two people who are trying to better the environment for people in their community? Brandon, who would know what that feels like?
You know, this is why I think that media trust is at an all-time high.
Oh.
And it's a smart move on their part because right now, all the information I have hundreds of teachers that I've talked to and interviewed and everything. And they're the ones that are giving me all the information, telling me what FOIA requests to fill out. Like they're the ones that are helping. By and large, all of these teachers are great people trying to do what's best for these kids. And they all feel that their hands are being tied behind their back. They're not allowed to do what needs to be done to keep these kids and themselves safe. And the administration
This is coming from very
intentionally
high up.
doing it.
I mean, you're 2 decades into your career at this point, and you've never been written up in 20 years.
Never. All of a sudden, instantly. Oh, getting called down to the administrator's office. And the odd thing about these write-ups, they weren't anything. They had no backing. It was just to intimidate me. I mean, it just got crazy. I mean, I just pulled it up before I got on with you, and I have this document. It's like every other day we were getting called down. And I got to the point where my phone would ring in my classroom, and I would get sick, and I would puke. Because I would literally go to the bathroom and puke because I was being tormented every day and supposed to teach kids at the same time. And it makes you physically ill because I'm not used to treating people this way, ever. And I'll tell you what, it started then, and up until a month and a half ago, it has not stopped. They have not stopped retaliating against me, and it's almost gotten worse.
So what they're doing is they're coming out and making it seem like, oh, we just want to burn everything to the ground and go after these teachers. We don't. Like the teachers are great. It's just not even all of the administration. Yeah. Some members in the administration and the culture that they've created are not safe, and it doesn't allow these teachers to do their jobs.
Which is really fun that you have teachers on the inside that are essentially like with telling you what FOIA requests to file and shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically like they're giving you the exhaust port plans on the Death Star. Like, please, for the love of God, blow this up.
Well, the scariest part to me is every single, with the exception of like one or two, and the one or two that I've talked to, the only reason they're not terrified of losing their job is because the school board has already gone after them repeatedly and tried to fire them and lost in court.
Correct.
Nice.
The gentleman that we've already showed the clip of at that school board meeting, that was a union rep. I forget what instance it was, but he got into it with the Buffalo School Board over some safety stuff, and they put him on paid leave for 2 years while they tried to fire him.
What the including other people,
including because he was the head of the social studies department. So not only did they put him on paid leave, they put the entire social studies department, which I believe was 5 teachers in total, on paid leave for a year and tried to fire all of them. And by sheer coincidence, the other 2 social studies teachers of the 5 that they put on paid leave were the other 2 union reps for that school.
Almost like they're trying to union bust, which is
illegal.
Oh!
What the?
And then they ended up
getting deep
losing
now.
in court, saying the teacher did absolutely nothing wrong. And the Buffalo School Board's people testifying on their behalf were found inadmissible in court, presumably because they got caught lying under oath.
About what?
I don't know exactly what. I have the court documents, and you can see that like their testimony was deemed no good.
And nothing happened because of that?
He ended up getting to keep his job.
No, but I mean, like lying under oath, there was no repercussions.
Why would there be?
It seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. If there is a
That's where
mass
we need to
layoff
get
or they
involved.
try that, understand why it's
Let's be the
happening.
consequences.
It is the big cogs right now that are the issue. It's a lot
Hold
of
them
the times what
accountable.
happens. It's the big cogs at the top. You can't do anything. So they're just like, oh, replace these ones until we find
The
team
system isn't
players.
broken.
And then
It's corrupted.
rinse, repeat until you do find
And
team
we need to
players.
find
But
the
right
corruption-
now,
source of the corruption
goal
and
of all
remove it.
this is to get rid of those fucking big cogs that are literally pieces of garbage.
Ed Dranch is a giant cog.
You know, his comments are still turned off on his Twitter.
Good.
They're going to have to be turned
His
off for a
phone
while.
number was on his Twitter for a while.
Well, it was like his business phone number, I think.
Yeah, that was an interesting call.
You know, maybe don't attack the podcast as trying to stick up for kids and then double down when we quote you and post the entire 1.5-minute opening of your video where you do that and go, well, no, that's not what I said.
It was taken out of context. I'm like, no, I watched the full fucking thing.
We played more of his original opening in that video straight than they did of my entire 20-something minute
That's why I'm
interview
not cutting
at
this.
Channel 7.
It's why I'm not to apologize. I do not get that mindset. It's like, I wonder if I just came out and was like, hey, sorry, I messed up. How that might react. Or
Even
the
if he was just like,
audience.
hey, clarify, just to
I messed
clarify,
up.
I think like, you know, these are very important allegations. I didn't mean to downplay it, whatever. Like, just take a little bit of accountability.
Yeah. My intent wasn't this. You don't even say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My intent was to talk about the thing, and I hit on this thing first. I could have saved that for a later date. And our army would have been like, hold.
An entire case to sue one of the news channels.
All right, what's the case?
Were we slandered, Nick?
Well, Rich was defamed.
I was defamed.
And I can prove it. I built an entire case out for it.
Neat.
Life pro tip. If Nick pulls out a binder, don't be what it's about. I've never been so impressively terrified by somebody's research abilities. Nick, I'm not a bad guy. Don't research me.
Yeah,
So for all the lawyers out there, this
So,
is called foreshadowing.
I'm conflicted because this news channel's been the least courteous to Rich, but they've also got the best journalist working for them. So it's kind of one of those cases where like Nate Benson works for Channel 2 WGRZ, but everybody else for Channel 2 WGRZ, but everybody else that writes on it that isn't Nate Benson shits on Rich to the point that it's now defamatory, and I can prove it. Okay, so in multiple articles, including YouTube videos that they put up, which I have saved, and news broadcasts that they've aired, which I have saved, and news articles that they've printed, they've all claimed that Detective Richard High is on the Brady list.
Yeah.
You know what the Brady list
Which is incorrect.
Yeah.
Guess what I have?
Well, would you like to explain what the Brady list
The
is?
Brady list means that you're on like the no-fly list when it comes to the district attorneys for when you go and take the stand to testify. It specifically states that you have credibility issues, which I know I've never lied on the stand, and all of my internal affairs or complaints never has to do with my evidence collection, my time on the stand, my integrity, or lying about any sort of charges that I've put on. So I have zero credibility issues on the stand. That is my history. But them saying that I'm on the Brady list would say that I do have credibility issues and that I cannot testify because of those issues.
It's a pretty big allegation.
I would say it's significant and would look very poorly in my career.
Yeah.
Because a detective not being able to testify is significant.
That would be
very
crazy.
damaging.
And then
Very
we put it
damaging.
right here, right? We can show the clips of them saying that right here.
Yeah, I have them.
The allegations made on the Unsubscribed podcast by Buffalo Police Detective Richard High have prompted the Buffalo School Board to seek an outside investigator. Officer High alleges the district failed to report an attempted abduction, sexual assault, child abuse, and destroyed evidence, which he discovered while working a case. Allegations that have outweighed High's status on the Brady list, which is a list of law enforcement officers whom the Erie County District Attorney's Office have found to have credibility issues.
So Channel 2 is the only one that even after it came out, that like, oh, he's actually onto something. When all the other news channels just started referring to him as SVU veteran detective Richard High, they would still put in the article, these allegations appear to outweigh his placing on the Brady list. Like just mad they have to admit that he's doing the right thing. Well, I have the Brady list. Guess who's not fucking on it? Richard High.
Weird.
So claiming that somebody is so uncredible that they can't even testify in court under oath is a pretty big allegation, right? The problem with defamation is if I was going to sue you for it, I would have to prove that it wasn't a genuine mistake and that you did it maliciously, right? So how would I be able to prove that?
Well,
that they
like
were
a history would probably be able.
Oh, like an ongoing history? Cool. What if I trained an advanced AI to go through their entire website and catalog the top 10 officers in the history of the news source that they've written articles about? And Rich is the third most reported on cop in Buffalo history out of 800 police officers, and not a single article is even remotely charitable to Rich.
Some of them don't even have to do with me, but they bring me into the article to then defame me.
Anytime they get a chance to throw him under the bus, they do it. Okay, so I can prove that he's the third most reported on cop in Buffalo's history out of 800 cops, which to me says that you've got a wild hair up your ass and you're gunning for him. Okay, so I'm able to prove that you would lie on purpose because you don't like him, right? But then what's even harder is I then have to go out and I have to prove that he's not on the Brady list, which he isn't. And then what was the other facet? I have to prove that
damages.
It wasn't a mistake.
It wasn't a mistake, which, the evidence seems to imply that.
If they try to fix anything, it is Sunday, May 18th, 2025, when this comes out. I don't want them to be like, oh, look, see?
You better redact this.
Yeah, like, this is the exact date. 10
Luckily,
days, I will then enter again, again.
I have it all saved.
Okay.
We have the Wayback Machine. Fuckhead.
Yes.
I have it all saved in catalog. But like then the real problem is like, okay, so I proved it was malicious. I proved that, you are lying. And that was on purpose. You've got, you maliciously did this to Rich. So then the problem is like, okay, well, it's just one cop. It's one detective at 800. How much is that really worth in a defamation case, right? But then you got to realize Rich is probably the most famous active serving cop in the world.
Stop. Name another active serving cop in the world with a social media presence that has millions of followers. Name one.
Anybody think of another cop?
Like active?
A cop with multiple millions of subscribers that's recognized nationwide and globally, who built his entire online persona around accountability, doing the right thing. And then you come out and you say that he's such a piece of shit that he can't testify under oath because he lies all the time. Seems like that'd be worth a lot of money in court.
Yeah, and also that proves a financial harm to your brand.
I wish Rich would come
that
on
was the other part. That was the other part is I would have to prove financial harm.
See, and I said damages earlier because that's always the way it's been explained to me. Financial harm, obviously, that's an easy one to understand, but it doesn't have to be financial harm. In an example of like an abuse case, physical abuse, it's not always financial harm. What if the victim was also prohibited from going to get medical help? So they're not out any money, but there's emotional and physical damage. So it's the way it was always explained to me was you have to be able to prove damages. Financial is obvious. It's a little easier to identify with losing money as being a damage, but it does not have to be financial.
which would be tricky to do unless I got like 20 to 30 people to comb through every Reddit and Facebook post that's been out since this case broke and took screenshots of hundreds of people parroting the same talking point that Rich is on the Brady list.
Oh.
Which came directly from them, from a credible news source. So now I can prove that it did harm his reputation.
Yeah. If there's any lawyers that would like to take up this case.
Yeah, so I guess I'm saying if I were Channel 2, within like 48 hours of this video dropping, I would have a whole article apologizing to Richard High on how you guys were wrong. And when I say a whole article, I don't mean go back and change the articles. I mean, I would make a whole article titled WGRZ apologizes to SVU detective Richard High for fucking lying, or I'm going to turn over all this evidence and then go to the kitchen and grab some popcorn while I watch him sue the dog shit out of you.
Cheers.
Oh, I like this so, dude.
I like to see bad people get what they deserve.
Right? You get what you deserve.
Well,
High's allegations have outweighed his status on the Erie County District Attorney Office's database for law enforcement officers with credibility concerns, even though he's not on it and never fucking was.
Quote, Channel 2 WGRZ.
Oh my God!
Whoa! You're being
and I know Reddit probably had a heyday just going through.
Oh yeah, I got hundreds. I got hundreds of comments parroting their false talking point where they defamed him, and I have the screenshots of all those comments already. So, I mean, if they don't want to apologize publicly with its own article and put it up on your fucking YouTube channel and the news broadcast, then I'm just going to turn it over, and I can prove that you've written about him the third most out of 800 cops over the course of his career. Nothing's ever been charitable. You throw him under the bus every chance you can get. I can prove he's not on the Brady list, and then I can prove that I have hundreds of comments of people parroting your false talking points to discredit him as, you know, defamation and harm to your credibility for the most famous cop in the world. So that reputation's worth a lot of money. Up to you guys.
Bury that fuckhead.
Nate Benson, sorry, you're a great journalist, but somebody else working at that news agency has it out to get him. I don't know if it's Ron Plants or the guy writing his scripts, but they're going to cost that place a lot of fucking money unless they start eating some crow. So, see you soon. The Buffalo School Board is just creating policies where it basically ties the hands behind the backs of the teachers that are trying to do the right thing. And I have multiple teachers, multiple interviews, I have hundreds of stories via written. But they all say the same thing. They've all attempted to do the right thing, and they've all been instructed by the school board that they're not allowed to do it. And I've asked repeatedly, and nobody knows that this is actually written down, but every single teacher has told me this without me asking. They've all told me the same thing. Buffalo school teachers are not allowed to call 911. They have to talk to an administrator, and the administrator makes that call.
Now, before somebody goes, I would call 911 anyway. You got to understand these school phone systems probably have 911 locked out. When you have a district that big, a phone system that big, sadly you can do that. You can say these phones either just don't have an external line. They're only allowed to call within the district, within the building. They might not even be able to dial out. And then they could easily make a policy that teachers are not allowed to have their phones with them during classroom hours. I'll link to it. Hang on. Let me get a timestamp. 1 hour and 29. I saw more recently than this video that we're watching. Buffalo Schools in the past day or two has released an article or released a statement that starting this coming school year and then in just a few weeks here, this coming school year, students will not be allowed to have their phones. So before anybody goes, well, if I was a teacher at the Buffalo Public Schools, I would just call 911 on my own. You might not be able to, like literally may not be able to, not just not allowed.
Jeez, Nick, does that ever come up in one of these stories where something happens and it could affect the health, welfare, and well-being of a child?
It sure does.
Wow.
Multiple times.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we can go into the THC gummy ones. So I've interviewed multiple people on that. I've interviewed the uncle of one of the boys that took the 500 milligram edible. And he is very disappointed with the school board. How do 500 milligram edibles just wind up on the hallway floor or the locker room floor in a middle school, and then why would a teacher pick them up and give them to children? Whatever, stupid shit happens. Maybe that is maybe that did happen. That's not my overall issue with the thing. My issue is the school and their policies at the administrative level do not allow things to get addressed as quickly as they should for the safety of children. The paramedics who I've talked to and I've interviewed.
Quick, what is the age of the children? This is elementary?
11 and 12.
Okay, so you have 11 and 12. And 5 milligrams, 5 will wreck somebody that's never done it, especially when you weigh 80 pounds, 90 pounds. Now, 500 milligrams, like what would 50 do?
I know what 500 does to an 11-year-old because they were hospitalized with resting heart rates of 130.
You said he found it on the floor?
He allegedly found it on the floor, either in the hallway or in the locker room. And I have a picture of the THC gummies. They resembled Sour Patch Kids, but as you can see, stony patch covered in weed.
They've got singular Cyclops eyes.
It's singular Cyclops eyes that in a colored version, they're very red, as if you'd been smoking weed. So, but granted, it does, if you're just taking a glance, maybe it does kind of look like Sour Patch Kids, and maybe it was all an accident. Whatever, that guy should still be fired, but that's separate. My issue is when the EMTs get called, the EMTs show up, and I've talked to the EMTs. They pull up to the school, and nobody will let them in. The doors are locked. Now, if a child is overdosing on an illegal drug, I would either A, have somebody sitting at the curb waiting for the EMTs to show up and then immediately take them to the children, or I would have the children outside waiting and hand them off. Not what happened. Took the EMTs, I believe he said 8 to 10 minutes to find someone to let them into the building. And nobody would even come to the doors. It was actually the security guard from the parking lot that came in, and the security guard's like, hey, what's going on? He had no idea. He had not been briefed on the issue. So it took them somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes from arriving on the scene to get to the children that were overdosing on an illegal drug. And then once they got in there...
Okay, future Jesse's going to interject some stuff right down here. Because there seems to be... I can't point on the screen. 32. There seems to be some discrepancy on the dosage. It's written there, but I wanna look into it a little deeper while we're not watching this, and I'm gonna try and put some information here.
The principal
about the
was
dosage.
apparently just didn't really give a shit. The school resource officer that was there comes up and is arguing with the EMTs like, well, do they really have to go to the hospital? They look fine. And the EMT is like, yes, they're going to the hospital. So that was an issue. And then a patrol officer showed up on the call as well. And the SRO and the patrol officer got into like an argument about why that guy shouldn't have even shown up and the SRO had it under control.
Meanwhile, you said this kid has a resting heart rate of about
130, correct. He's having the worst day of his life. He just had 500 milligram edible.
Just so we reference, if it's 50 per gummy, so it's a 500 in a little bag.
The two of them ate an entire bag.
Jesus.
So yeah, 250 per. And again, like...
And this is why I want to add a comment, because that write-up that he did go to made it look like they had 2,000 or 3,000 milligrams in total. I think the gummies are 500 each, but that's incredibly high. Like a little gummy to be 500. So I think the write-up should have said 200 or 300 milligrams, which is still astronomical. But that's where future Jesse is going to be very busy looking into that, and I'll have it here.
5 would wreck somebody at that.
Yeah.
That level, 50, 250 if they split it.
So they ate the entire bag because it was candy. And so this is all going on. And I believe it was the principal or the assistant principal. It was an administrator that had the bag. They had to go into the administrator's office and be like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how much drugs these kids had under your supervision. Where's it at? And she had it sitting underneath her big like metal tumbler. And the EMT said like she was trying to hide it. And when he directly asked her for it, she like reluctantly gives it to him. And he investigates, sees that it's 500 milligrams in the bag. Okay, now he knows. He hands it back to her, takes the kids to the hospital. Comes back, and he's, taking notes. He wants to see the bag again to either take the bag or take a picture of it. We don't know where the bag went.
Oh.
So the evidence disappeared.
Wait a second. I feel like the destruction, intentional or unintentional, of evidence is like an ongoing theme with the City of Buffalo school system, whether it be video evidence or physical evidence like this bag.
Richard, isn't it a crime?
Destruction of evidence. I believe there's something. I'm tisming right now because I believe New York State Penal Code has that.
Sounds like justice is being obstructed.
Now, so like that's pretty bad, but like it's an indicator of the overall problem, right? So they're just not working with first responders in the way that they should. And all the teachers have told me this. They're not allowed to call 911. They have to do everything through the administration. And I interviewed another teacher who wanted to remain anonymous, so we're going to play that clip here in a second. But has a story, and I believe I've shown you guys a video, so we don't have to watch it. We'll just play it for the audience.
When I taught at another school in the city, the music teacher had a student that passed out cold. And this was probably like a 6th grader. She ran over to my room, the teacher, and she said, so-and-so just passed out on the floor. I can't wake him up. Come help. I went over there. I'm like, we got to call the police. So we called the rule is you have to call an administrator before you call police. You have to. So we call the administrator, and the administrator says, you are not calling anybody. We're going to call the mother and have her come over. And me and this teacher are like, what are you talking about? Like, we can't wake the kid up. Like, we need an ambulance here now.
There's no paper trail that way.
No. The principal came down to our room and stood there while this kid is passed out. Passed out. No ambulance, nothing. Do you think that's crazy? Mom finally shows up. I don't even remember how it ended. I know Mom was motherfucking everybody, and she, not me. I was younger back then. But there's always this idea, like there's always this, you're always scared of like, you're going to get literally, I don't know what ruling the administrators have, but there's something that they do that you are scared shitless.
Do you remember what ended up happening with the girl? Like, why she passed out? And did she get to the hospital eventually?
She did get to the mom brought her to the hospital.
Under
and I remember she was back in the building the following week.
Textbook.
So.
I mean, she was out of school for days after this.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they probably didn't double back to let you know what the medical issue was. But regardless, I mean, that girl could have been ODing on drugs, and it took, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get mom, drive there from work, pick her up, drive her to the hospital rather than just calling the ambulance?
Yeah, it was probably a good, I would say it was about 20 minutes. I think it was about 20 minutes. It was awful. Awful. Like, we could not wake this student up.
So, I mean, it took this kid an hour to get to the hospital when she lost consciousness and was unresponsive. And she didn't end up making it back to school till the following week.
What I just don't understand is the incentive. Is it just whether it's anti-cop sentiments or just trying to make the school seem better than it is,
the incidents
or like it's functioning better than it is? Why do they feel like they just have?
Schools get ratings.
What is their goal?
Districts.
I truly believe on my side, just the overview, stranger to it, haven't deep diving. It is, we need to look good. Look how good. Yeah, we had 17,000 calls, but half of those were just what were they called?
School other.
Yeah, school other, the information only.
It's small stuff. See, we're really safe. Yeah, miscellaneous. We're really safe. You're good to go. Funding, however that works, and you just keep doing that.
Yeah, and then that shithead lawyer that works for the school from Lipschitz Mathis or whatever the fuck that law firm is comes on the news and he's like,
schools are nonprofits under 501c4 nonprofits, if I'm not mistaken. Future Jesse will also that one. I will also look that up at 139. I'm not going to list all of, I'm not going to put all of 501c4 because it's going to be lengthy. Actually, I might put that one above so there's more room. But I'm going to put like a basic what 501c4 is. But that's the nonprofit for education purposes. At least I believe it's C4. That's why Future Jesse is going to be busy.
He's like, actually, the sheer volume.
Oh, and they also should get C9, 501c9 status as a government entity as well, because they're funded by the states.
volume of calls that they've contacted the police clearly shows that they're working great with law enforcement. I'm going to conveniently ignore the fact that 54% of the calls were listed as school other. So then we call them out, and that doesn't work. So then they get fucking John J. Flynn, I believe his name is, former district attorney.
His middle name is Jizz.
And the news brings him on. And he fucking is like, well, actually, I was a district attorney, and I promise you that, you know, the whole time, I realized that the dude was only getting charged with misdemeanors for assault and child endangerment, and then Rich came out and said that he was kidnapping, and then the DA, after having a bunch of backlash, magically was like, oh, we are going to charge this guy with felony kidnapping. But, you know, that had nothing to do with the podcast, and I would know because I'm a former DA. What the fucking news didn't tell you is Flynn also works for Lipschitz Mathis, or whatever the fuck that law firm is, that is directly working for the school board. The entire thing's bullshit and rigged.
So the only people that are talking out or speaking out in their favor are people who have a financial incentive to do so.
Correct.
Huh.
Financial and legal obligation to do so.
Just clarifying.
Isn't that neat? Isn't it cool how the news left that part out, that he's working for the same law firm that protects all the administrators?
You know,
it's crazy the news would do that.
You know, it's funny because Flynn also said that he didn't have any incidents where the school was covering anything up during his tenure at DA at the DA's office as the DA. But you know what, Nick?
It took me all of about 15 minutes to find out that not only was that a fucking lie, you can actually still go on change.org or change.gov and sign a petition to this day demanding that he step down as DA because he refused to prosecute childhood sex crimes appropriately. That's the entire reason they wanted him to step down.
How many thousands of signatures does it have already?
It had 3,500 before I put it out to the internet. There's probably hundreds more because people went and also signed it just from mine. But it was 3,500 people legitimately from Buffalo that would have signed this thing demanding that he step down for not properly addressing childhood sex crimes.
Do you have any one, like a single instance of those? Just one of the stories.
So a lot of the story that it goes back to is in years prior when he was the DA, the Archdiocese, the Catholic Church operating in the area of Dubuque, had a priest or multiple priests that had been accused of childhood sex crimes, whatever, and he apparently did not do his due diligence in investigating and punishing those sex crimes. And I think the Archdiocese of Dubuque is like in a stage of bankruptcy right now because they've been sued so many times. But that being sued is a civil lawsuit,
right?
Not a criminal lawsuit. So that means that the parents, allegedly, if these kids were assaulted, were having to go into the legal system and file and sue the church individually, and there was no criminal prosecution. And that's why they wanted this guy to step down, is because he was not doing his due diligence and punishing childhood sex crimes. So for him to come out and be like, yeah, I would have never done this as DA, it's bullshit. You did it.
Mm-hmm. Also, one of the specific things that I brought up happened during his tenure. One of the stories where there was saw it at a school pool, and the school principal, this happened 2 years ago while he was DA, and the school principal failed to not declare it, report it. And then a year later, the child that was the victim of it disclosed it to somebody else. Then it became an investigation. But guess what happens after a year? All physical evidence is gone. The video is erased and like recorded over because it's been a year. They only save it for like, let's say even 180 days. That's gone.
Yeah.
And that school principal wrote the DA and said, hey, I'm not going to come in for the subpoena that your office sent me because I did my own investigation and I don't really care. Sent a letter stating why they're going to refuse to respond to the subpoena while he was the district attorney.
I have a question. I do history videos on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to apply at Buffalo schools to be a history teacher with no degree in education or history, do you think that I would get hired?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Why is that?
Well, because you don't have like a teaching degree.
Oh, so I don't have the proper training to be a teacher, yet they don't have any training to be an investigative detective, yet they can host their own investigations, determine that no crimes were conducted, and then not inform law enforcement, even though they're a mandatory reporter. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, that's exactly what I would get out of this story. And it also happened during his tenure as DA, which goes against what he was talking about when he went on the news to open his big, fat, stupid mouth.
They're like a slam poetry duet.
Cody, look.
What?
Not at me. Look at Brandon.
What? What?
Yeah, that's right, Cody. This is still 700.
Another potential sex crime that was conducted. And when the law enforcement officer showed up to investigate it, all the administration and teachers had gone home for the day, so he couldn't do his job.
Yes, there's 2 new stories that have come out.
When was it? Okay, when was this?
Since our original.
This has been
since. This is while
ongoing.
they're now facing intense scrutiny. This is what they're still up to.
We are
still
like
going.
B-Day plus 22 or
They have
something
not
right
changed
now.
their behavior.
So,
and I don't think they're going to.
I'm going to tell you.
There's
I
no
think one that's
accountability.
more telling
There's no
that is a better
consequence.
picture because it's all on body cam. So I was made aware of an incident that happened at a Buffalo school that happened, and I don't know the call number yet. So you can't even ask me about it. All I have is information from individuals that were there. School, police, EMT, not going to say who. Just saying that information was given to me by a couple different sources. And the information is that a sexual assault had occurred at the school, at some school. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I know that it happened because of the people that are telling me about it. A sexual assault happened at a school in the city of Buffalo. Officers responded to that school. The officers asked the staff for information, and I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It was assault. It was just a normal assault. It was a 2 students had beaten up a janitor or somebody that affected within the school. So the janitor was basically stomped pretty bad.
These like high school age kids?
I believe so.
Okay.
The janitor is stomped pretty bad and beaten up by these kids, jumped. The officers go to the school. They talk to the principal and say, hey, this is serious. We need the video of it. And also we need to know these kids' names. And the school principal said, no, not giving you anything, not giving you the kids' names. And they're like, okay, but they're suspects in a crime. They jumped somebody at your school. They attacked basically one of your staff. We need to know who these people are. Even if we're not going to make an arrest and we go throughout the whole process and we get them counseling, something needs to start. We need their names. The principal refused, called up legal counsel, said legal counsel also told me to tell you to kick rocks. I'm not going to do that. This is all on body cam. And then the officers had the wherewithal to say, hey, here's the supporting deposition. I want you to sign the supporting deposition stating that you are refusing to give me the names of the suspects that assaulted your staff because they're individuals that go to your school. And she signed it.
Oh my God.
So she wrote the deposition. I'm refusing per legal counsel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm refusing per legal counsel. At least I'm refusing to give you the names of the children and juveniles, 17, 18, who gives a shit, that assaulted one of my members of staff.
That's old enough.
So they don't care about any staff or it's just how their reputation is all they give a shit about. Because they're not protecting their own and they're not protecting the kids.
They're not protecting anybody. So now these 2 kids can go
themselves.
They've got carte blanche.
That's what they're
Why not go
protecting.
assault another staff member? Why not go assault some kids? Teachers, the principal's not going to give any of my information away to the police.
Consequence.
So there you go. Families that have their kids in schools, the principals are allowing juveniles that are assaulting grown adults to remain around your children with no recourse. If your kid's being bullied at a Buffalo public school and you're not getting the response that you think you require to address that issue, this is your red flag. You might want to get involved.
And I believe there's actually a couple of class actions right now against the Buffalo public school system.
There's now ads going around Facebook and ads getting mailed out by law firms that are basically asking people like, hey, this is apparently a prevalent issue. Get a hold of us if you want us to take a legal suit against Buffalo schools.
And this is, I guarantee, we've talked about it, but this has got to be way more. Buffalo is a great starting point, but y'all need to rally too and figure out if this is happening in your district and start expanding and asking for this information.
Yep.
Because
So-
this is definitely
This shouldn't happen
nationwide.
just within Buffalo.
I did even more digging on the Shane Cronin
is
case,
just
the
people.
alleged kidnapping at the magnet school with the museum.
Go on.
I have written testimonies from teachers that were there that day.
Oh, interesting.
Blurt out. They got a hold of me and they told me that, one, they were taken aback and disgusted when they watched our podcast because this individual...
Because we belched or because we were drinking?
No, because they were there that day and had to hear that there was an alleged kidnapping.
Caesar's M.
They found out from us that there was an attempted kidnapping that day,
What the
not
fuck?
from the administration. I have the Buffalo schools handbook and how they handle emergency situations. The Buffalo School District has 3 states of emergency.
Pay attention.
They have shelter in place, lockout, and lockdown. Shelter in place is something for like inclement weather outside. Hey, there's a tornado or winds or a flood. It's not safe to leave the building. Stay inside. Lockout is, hey, there's an external threat to the school that we're worried may come in. We're going to lock the exterior doors to the school so nobody can get inside. Lockdown is, there's an interior threat to the school. All of the teachers need to take the kids in the classrooms, lock the doors to the classrooms, and then take a roll call so we can account for every child. Going back to the testimony.
Foreshadowing.
Quote, during the active intruder gaining entry into the school building through the museum doors, school staff were never instructed to go on lockdown, but only shelter in place.
Oh, well, this isn't a storm. Go on.
Certainly not a storm, especially for a grown man breaking into a school. That would be a lockdown situation where you lock the school doors.
Breaking into the school for the purpose of kidnapping 2 children.
Whether they knew that or not at the time, yes. Breaking in is an interior threat. They should have been on lockdown. Continuing the quote, I do know that the assistant principal was attacked by this man as he attempted to gain entry to the second floor hallway, which contains 3rd through 5th graders. After the police arrived, the intruder was apprehended in the museum. Nothing in regards to further safety precautions were taken or offered to the students or staff at School 59 that day. The children and staff were not released from the building, and the day continued as if nothing had happened. Parents were also not made aware of the incident until a letter went home with every student the following day. So yeah, they didn't tell the parents the day that it happened. They instead sent home a mass letter with all of the elementary school kids. So who knows if the parents even got those letters.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're not a parent, maybe that sounds, oh, they sent a letter home. Parents are looking at the screen just like I did. Send a letter home with students, especially elementary students. It does not usually make it to the parents. The kids do. They mean well, but they're young, right? Hey, take this home to your parent. They shove it in a book bag. They don't remember to give it to you by the time they get home. They don't. Most of those parents probably did not get that note.
I wish I knew what the letter said, but obviously I don't live in Buffalo, so that would be really hard for me to, get a copy. Oh, wait, no, I'd have to fuck copy the letter.
Oh, good.
The letter, dear parents and caregivers, as you know, safety and the well-being of our students is a top priority on Tuesday, February 11th.
That's how he was said. They were. Wow. Man, that caught me off guard.
You know what's really funny about letters like this is you could just say whatever the fuck you want.
I guess so. Hey, do these ones have untruths in them? Keep going.
Oh, we're going to get there. On Tuesday, February 11th, we had an incident where a man entered our school through the museum without permission. In response, the school was placed in a brief shelter in place. So if you guys want to say that it's an untruth that you didn't go on lockdown, I have your letter from your fucking principal saying that you went into shelter in place, which is not the appropriate protocol.
Boo, boo schools, boo.
And we immediately notified the Buffalo police, who responded within minutes and arrested the man. The school is also using this as an opportunity to evaluate and reinforce its safety protocols to help ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. District officials and Buffalo Public School Security also met on Wednesday with the museum leadership to discuss the situation. Buffalo's Public Schools Crisis Prevention and Response Team and other support personnel have been and will continue to be available to students and teachers. As parents, you may want to talk with your child as well. If your child exhibits any indications of emotional distress, we suggest that you listen to him or her. If they need to talk, answer their questions simply, honestly, and possibly over and over again. Please feel free to contact the school with any concerns or questions you may have. Thank you for your continued support. Sincerely, Principal Mark Shoemaker. So if you have questions about their concerns, they want you to contact them at the phone number 716-816-3370.
Do with that what you will.
I think
I would have concerns.
Dr. Charles Drew Science Magnet, Buffalo School, number 59. So yeah, attempted kidnapping, didn't tell any of the parents, didn't go into lockdown while there was a grown man attempting to kidnap children inside the school.
Fighting assistant principals. Breaking into more classrooms.
According to this testimony of the teacher that was there, he actually made it into a classroom and destroyed the classroom with the teacher inside. Wasn't sure if there was kids in there or not, but regardless, that teacher who was in a classroom that this man broke into, opened the door because nobody told her to lock the doors because she didn't go into lockdown, wouldn't have been an issue.
And that when they said that they called the police within minutes or something like that, that's all fucking lie too, right?
I don't know the exact response time, but the fact of the matter is everything that they can control, like, hey, go on to lockdown and lock your doors. There's a man in here trying to kidnap kids. They didn't do. And then they didn't tell the parents the gravity of the situation. They're like, oh yeah, there was an incident. We had to go into shelter in place. Didn't mention that he attempted to kidnap kids. Didn't mention to the parents that he assaulted a principal. Didn't do any of that shit.
I mean, that can escalate so fastly. Just if that is a shooter or a situation like that, that's how you can see how bad that will get without, hey, announcing to all the administration somebody's in doing this. Instead, a person breaks into a elementary school room and destroys the room.
There's a grown-ass man in the school who should not be here.
Yes.
Who has gained access.
Yes, that would be considered an interior threat, which under their own criteria in their fucking manual that they got to write, they should have been on lockdown. And they didn't. Nate.
Damn.
Do you think anybody will be held accountable for that?
No.
Well, no, not yet.
This is where we
It's become overwhelmingly apparent to me that the Buffalo District Attorney is not interested in actually getting people in trouble for this, and that the school board is desperately trying to protect themselves, and not all of them. There's multiple people on the school board. I've looked into every member. Half to the slight majority of the school board is actually great people that are involved for the right reasons. There's 3 or 4 people that are piles of shit on that school board.
It's almost like a fraternity of shit.
Or a sorority.
Or a sorority of shit.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, I tried to dig into this, but I can't access the AKA sorority records.
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Allegedly, I've heard from multiple teachers and employees of Buffalo School District that the superintendent and multiple people on the Buffalo School Board that all vote together and are the ones dragging this out and preventing it so that she can retire are all members of the same sorority. So they're just looking out for each other and not the kids.
Maybe?
Allegedly.
Is that the wine guzzler too? Is the wine guzzler one?
I believe so.
What do you know?
Oh my God.
What do you know? The superintendent and the wine guzzler working together. So the wine guzzler who flips off people that are worried about their school and says so on a Zoom meeting, she gets to keep her job.
And who is the DA that's completely disinterested in this, by the way?
Oh, what is his name? What the fuck is his name? That guy that got a DUI in 1984? That guy that got a DUI in 1984 for, what was it? I believe he was driving under the influence down the wrong lane with no headlights. He then attempted to evade the police. After getting stopped, did a field sobriety test. And then after he failed the field sobriety test, attempt to escape police custody, injuring a police officer in the process. He then, he comes from from what I was able to read, he comes from a very affluent, well-connected family in the area. And he was directly asked by the news when this came out during his election if his father's status had anything to do with the fact that these felony charges for evading cops, injuring a cop, if his dad had anything to do with the fact that those cases were then pleaded down to misdemeanors. I believe he had 90 days of probation or something and a $250 fine. And then the courts actually sealed the records so they couldn't be pulled up against him again. But they accidentally got released during a FOIA request. Well, so they got leaked out anyways.
No, I know that you've never said it. You've never said it, but I've heard people who have, that maybe his daddy's connections were the reason why that didn't turn out worse.
Yeah, I mean, that would kind of make sense.
Well, but that happened in the past. You shouldn't judge somebody off their past.
Wait a second. I get judged off my past all the time.
Wait.
I'm controversial. Guys, you forgot. I made funny videos on the internet. I called a kid fat one time and got in a car accident. I was not, but kind of was on the Brady list per Channel 2. I'm the guy you shouldn't listen to, and I understand now why the news shit on me all these years for being a bad person. I've learned my lesson. I think I've grown.
Is there a single person in that binder who doesn't have I don't know what you would call it, maybe a rocky history?
Not really, no. But I think I've come up with a solution. So I don't have faith that the DA is going to do his job. The Buffalo School Board is going to try to drag this out as long as humanly possible to hoping to God everybody forgets. So my answer to this is, I've looked into it. It takes about somewhere between 85 and 110,000 votes to swing a federal election in the state of New York. So if you were a federal law enforcement agency like the FBI, and you got 100,000 fucking complaints about the Buffalo school boards emailed to you, do you think maybe the federal government would get involved at that point?
Boy, I couldn't ignore that if I wanted to, if I was a member of the Federal Bureau of Investigation or Attorney General's office. It would be impossible for me to ignore that. In fact, I think I would have to look at it. Considering the volume of complaints, I would have to take that as some sort of serious event that needs an investigation.
You would be a fool not to.
It would be foolish not to, yes.
And you want to be transparent too.
Even if you wanted to cover it up because the government doesn't like holding itself accountable, do you think that the federal level government would spin around and hold a school board and local government accountable, knowing that if they didn't, it would sway an entire federal election?
I think that could be possible. You know, the governor of New York State, Kathy Hochul, actually had a response to the investigation that's going on, well, lack of investigation that's going on in the city of Buffalo. And I'm going to have to pull it up real quickly because I don't want to be misquoted for my governor. I would hate to put words in her mouth.
But this little podcast where people burp and are foul and drink alcohol has brought these allegations to the point where the governor is making a fucking response.
Well, I apologize. It's not the governor. It's the governor's press office. So she's obviously very busy and couldn't comment on the second largest school district in the entire state. Her hometown, actually.
Really?
You know, these things happening, which she's busy. I can understand. So she would have to have her press office make the statement of, it is our understanding that there are active investigations by law enforcement regarding certain allegations, as well as the internal review by the school district, which hasn't happened yet.
Which is a lie because they haven't even announced who's going to start the investigation. So that's not true.
And we await the results of those reviews. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it would be that Governor Kathy Hochul's office, maybe her, because I don't know if they got this to her yet. Hopefully somebody can get it to her, are aware that the ongoing abduction case is still, well, ongoing. But yet they are willing to wait for the Buffalo school systems to complete their own internal investigation, which, Nick, that one investigation from 3 years ago, is that out yet to the public?
The shooting at McKinley High School?
Yeah.
No, that hasn't been released.
Noted.
Neither.
This is the first time I've heard of this.
Shooting? I believe the other investigation regarding the stabbing at Riverside High School, that investigation's results have also never been released.
Okay, so those investigations, although they are ongoing, even though they haven't actually started the investigation currently for that school, even though those ones are done and we've never gotten the results for it, the governor's office is going to wait on the investigation from the Buffalo School District, who's never shared anything about their investigations before, to complete before anything happens. So,
what a hilarious non-statement. We are aware that some things are being looked to, and we wish them luck.
Yep.
And wait,
so my
school shooting. What?
It was outside the school. It was like a gang thing. Like a kid ran up on the school and shot a security guard while trying to shoot another child during dismissal. So there was a lot of kids out there.
What the fuck?
Our department flooded the area because we thought it was going to be like a planned school shooter. It was more gang violence, but nonetheless still a shooting at the school. The security guard was wounded, and I think somebody else, I think a student, don't quote me on that, but that's what happened.
And they just said that
they said they did their own investigation, and that investigation is not shared. That's what we talked about earlier.
It's not released to the public
because it's attorney-client privilege.
Yeah. So they have a pretty good history of not sharing results of the investigation, which would concern everybody. So I think my solution now would be to put up the email of the FBI, and we'll put it in the description as well. And you can email the FBI.
Also be like right here on the screen.
And let them know, hey, you should probably be looking at Buffalo Public Schools. And then if, I don't know, this video gets 1 million views and we can rely on 10% of you to take 30 seconds out of your day to shoot an email.
1 million views. Just about 944,000. Let's get that to 1 million.
and then the FBI gets 100,000 emails, which is enough to sway a federal election, we get to do this cool thing where we pit the government against itself and watch it eat itself alive. And what's even funnier is Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, came out 10 days ago and took a hardline stance on protecting kids in school. So this is almost like me walking up and putting a home run ball on the tee for them to make an example out of somebody.
That was 10 days ago? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Weird.
What happened there? Anyway, I'm going to make this simple for all of you that are listening. I don't care if you think that the other 10% are going to do it for you. You, on your phone, right now, you should probably send an email to somebody saying to look at the Buffalo Public School program and that it's an issue.
Don't swear. Don't
not,
just spam memes.
Please don't get on there and be like, this is Epstein's Island 2.0. There's a crazy ring. There's not. We're not saying that. The school administration has harbored a culture of not valuing children's safety as the highest priority. And because of that, we think that children are continually getting put in danger they don't need to get put in.
Nick, do you think that we could have, like, I don't know, a template email that we could put up in the description?
Like if I wrote a letter that people could just,
copy and paste
and put it right into the email and send it 100,000 times? Yeah,
that is that.
Game if that was in the description.
We're going to put that in the description, and maybe the website to do so is going to be right here. Maybe it's right fucking here.
Can we do anything with the
email as well?
Was it the change one where we
change.org?
That's a petition.
A petition.
Would that help at all? Also, if we stack with it, or just the emails is the main thing right now?
I think the petition. I don't want to say no. I want to leave all options open. But at this moment, with my governor's office being aware of it and then choosing to sit back, I think that it has to be the FBI or the AG's office that is bombarded with people caring, so that it is unignorable.
And they won't do that until we get them involved.
I would also really like the New York governor's office and like senators like Chuck Schumer and Gillibrand to also be bombarded with the same email.
So could we CC? What we'll do in the description then is put those emails in for you to CC,
copy,
add,
paste right into send to. You know what'd be really funny is if at one of the school board meetings we just had Unsub Live in the parking lot.
Oh my God.
I wanted to go to the first one so bad. Maybe I just get somebody with a camera and I go to one of the next ones.
What are they going to do? Call the cops?
Well, if they do, they might just...
That's the catch-22. That is the fucking...
Finally, you're doing what we wanted.
Call the police.
I always wanted to get a mugshot.
The cops storm in. Let me guess. You guys are here for school other.
What was one of the most wild things during all of this?
Honestly, the craziest part for me is just like the saddest part for me is just the sheer volume of teachers that I've talked to that all said the same thing. Like, and I made sure intentionally to do it unprompted. Like, I didn't want to ask like, hey, do you feel like the Buffalo School Board is tying your hands behind your back, preventing you to do the right thing, and you're scared of retaliation if you do the right thing? I made sure to not mention that. They all organically brought that up themselves. Like, all these teachers that I've talked to are phenomenal people that like genuinely really, really care about these kids and want to do the best they possibly can for them. And they all feel that the school board and its policies are preventing them from keeping those kids safe and doing the right thing. And they are all, with the exception of people that have already been retaliated against extensively, 95% of them are all extremely terrified of being retaliated against. And I have the interviews, and we've already played one of those interviews where he says, I've seen people's... They said they've seen people's careers get ruined by this.
Which should never be the case. And the goal, I think the goal also should be, I think we said it in the past, was repercussions for not addressing this should outweigh repercussions for addressing. It's like, oh, you might get fired, but the people that get fired, if you get fired for that, they're going to prison. It is making examples if you don't
If you
report it.
obstruct.
Yes,
if you
obstruct, report.
if you're the low guy that's afraid of losing their job and you've been in a place of fear and you made a mistake and didn't report something, you're not the person we're upset with. We're upset with the people that put you in that position, that made you fear for your job and your livelihood, that are preventing you from doing the right thing. And because they're preventing you, it's creating this culture of fear and making you, along with others, afraid of the repercussions from your overseers or administrators.
In an environment like
and
that.
that is why these issues aren't being handled.
It's real.
I'm glad you brought that up because it reminds me of something that I was thinking when you made
These
a post
people
the
feel
other day.
trapped, and they need our help.
Where they're trying
They
to basically
absolutely
just
need our
stick it
help.
to this one guy, the guy with the kidnapping charge.
Yeah.
They're just trying to just stick everything to him and like, see, we did something about it. And it's like, no. See, this is like the, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish kind of situation.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's getting charges. That's fucking great.
You're treating the symptom, not the cause.
Exactly.
We want to treat the cause.
If the people responsible for the culture
need
that is
to root
built
this out.
in Buffalo public school systems don't get some sort of accountability, this is all for nothing.
100%.
What's
So what's
next
next?
on this?
Well, next, I sit back and laugh as the FBI launches an investigation into the Buffalo School Board and the District Attorney of Erie
Which, as
County.
far as I can tell,
And
2
we
weeks
also
later,
get to watch
has
the
not
civil
started
suit go
yet.
on.
That's why I'm making this video.
Not
This
civil,
isn't
civil
done.
suit, yes, but the
class
need
action.
you-
class action lawsuit with all these people that have had their children wronged go against the Buffalo City Schools.
And then I sit back and I watch and I wait.
I'm looking
As these
for-
people, the school board members have elections coming up in 2 months. So
We'll be involved.
if you guys don't unf this, I'm going to get involved in that. And then the
I think all of us are also available to testify.
He did this
Yep.
for free.
I think we can get involved now.
I
on
think
top
we
of
might
that,
have.
I have it in my calendar in 2028. The District County Attorney of Erie County also goes up for re-election. I'm going to get involved in that election too if he doesn't unfuck himself. And just so you guys understand, if you haven't grasped what I mean by that, we've been involved in elections before. Brandon, how did that one election that we were involved in go? That federal congressional election?
Oh, running against an incumbent, who I believe incumbents have a 93% re-election rate in this country.
And how much money did he have over?
I think it was about 10 to 1.
10 to 1?
Spent about 10 to 1. Took him to a runoff, which was very expensive. I think he budgeted $3 million for his election. He had to spend 13.
Oh, interesting.
And he barely snuck by with 400 votes in a runoff election that he was not financially prepared for.
Huh.
So
we didn't even get to say that kid was putting children in danger.
Or failed to put children in a better position than when they started.
So, I mean, whatever. We're going to give your opponent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of free good press, and we're going to give you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in free bad press. And I got enough money. I'll buy billboards all over Buffalo to shit all over you.
Well,
funny story.
That might have already started. Not from me, but from people in the community who want to let you know how they feel.
by somebody who lives in
Make your
Buffalo.
voice
By
known.
somebody who lives in
You
Buffalo.
got money?
Dude, those DMs
Do it
are
big.
wild.
If you don't,
I
do
it
loud.
costs more, but it's worth it. And these are
just
just
keep talking.
There
Call
are random people that are
everybody.
doing God's work in the city of Buffalo by putting up billboards. Can't wait to see you in June.
God,
You know what
we
I mean?
got the orbital autism space laser on this fucking city.
Yes. It's like rods of God. There's just
Puzzle pieces clicking into place.
of titanium.
Is there any legal reason that I couldn't sell yard signs pertaining to this incident?
No.
On Bunker just for cost
As
to
a
break even on
private
them?
citizen, I don't think there is.
Oh. I'm going to look into getting yard signs for the city of Buffalo.
Well, you know what?
On Bunker branding.
We could probably, maybe do
I'll
that.
sell them at cost. I don't need to make any money off that.
Yeah.
I'll do that for the fun.
Dude, what should those yard signs say? If only the comments section could help us out.
Only
with
the card slogans and designs, people. I want to see them.
We're going to do one of the name things.
Don't get drenched in the bullshit.
Don't be a cog.
Yeah, don't be a cog. And don't be a cog.
Buffalo School Board for unemployment.
Oh. Classifieds.
I like that.
And anything for you, Rich, on any final closing statements on what you want to see or done or just personal?
I think that if you've watched it this far, we've laid out a compact and easy plan for you. There is a cut and pasta for you to email exactly who you need to email. We're even telling you who to email. That is the smallest, easiest thing you could do. And you can do it literally as we're sitting here bullshitting with one another. Everything other than that, on top of that, is whipped cream and a cherry on top of a sundae. I look forward to the signs. Can't wait to see what you degenerates write down in the comments for potential signs. I bet you the highest voted one is going to be despicable, and I love it.
We're going to look at that in a second.
Continue your fantastic
see the
use of
comments.
social media in the bullying of journalists.
Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. And the checks and balances that you provide to local news media when they decide not to cover something or to potentially skew what the story should be about. That is very appreciative. And also, love reading the comments whenever you do that in those spaces as well.
To quote the donut operator, bully journalists.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not people.
They're barely even real.
Except for Ben.
Ben is nice.
Ben T's great.
Ben and Nate Benson.
We'll have to discuss something and figure out something for our own news for Pepperbox.
Oh, I mean, if this
If
goes
those
well, we
two-
might own channel 2, so. I'm waiting for
The
that
gang
apology
gets a
channel.
news
Fail. That better be the fucking headline.
Oh, yeah,
If you think we're kidding, we're fucking not.
WGRZ, I've already contacted a defamation lawyer in New York.
Oh,
He's
you
the
did?
biggest
Okay, good.
dickhead I could find. So, headline, WGRZ sincerely apologizes to senior
apology
Buffalo
video.
SVU detective Richard High.
Nothing
I want
I've
a
been
full
able to
article
find.
about how
I've
you guys
looked. I've
f this
looked.
up.
I promise you that will be much less expensive.
I really
Future
want to
Jesse doesn't
change your
even
name
need to
and
get
own you
involved. I've looked.
to Buffalo WGRZ. and our shirts are going to say come.
With you burping.
We're gonna make you come watch our channels. That's my goal.
Our lawyers are going to do foul things to you.
Yes, absolutely foul. Which, by the way, is a shirt now.
Is it really?
On the Unsub channel. It is. We made a shirt that says absolutely foul because it was such a good headline. We couldn't just, leave it away. So we've got the bad bitch stuff. We've got the new absolutely foul shirt for Unsub.
And all of the money from that will go toward
My
helping
legal
make
fund.
Make
What?
this fun.
Yeah, to making this fun. All the money going to that is just going to be used in the most pivotal way.
If we get arrested for this somehow, the mug shots are going to be fucking hard. I like it.
If our mug
That's an
shots
album
can be
cover.
on a mug.
I want the
Mug-
Johnny Cash T-shirt.
Yeah.
The mugshot.
When I got arrested, I should have got a mug shot. I really
Why?
missed out.
Camera.
Senior SVU detective
Some
admits to
things
being
do not
arrested.
need AI.
I know that's the entire article. That's it. FOIA request.
You're not a real man if you haven't been arrested.
What was that for?
Oh, I got in a fight with a drug dealer.
Oh, really? No shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was off duty, and me and my buddy called 911, and then the next day, like after the police showed up, and they tased one of the guys that we fought because he was throwing bricks at us and trying to fight the cops.
Oh, I know this story.
Yeah, we were like, oh, hey, thanks for showing up, guys. We appreciate it. You can see they're an issue. And then I drove away, and then the next day or two, I got like a call, and they were like, you got to go to court. And I was like, for what? And they're like, the drug dealer you fought wants to press charges. I'm like, that's what?
Reverse Uno.
Yeah, I was like, what a reverse Uno card? I was like, what? Okay, I guess. Sure.
Well,
Sure
Richard,
got a mugshot.
thank you so much for having trust in Unsub, all of them, and then all of us, and
all of you.
The fortitude to starting it here.
Yeah, that
a
sucked.
month ago.
No, the first couple of days sucked real bad. So
No,
thank you for
metaphorically.
coming to having my back. The first couple of days sucked real bad.
He was super stressed. Cannot stress that enough. Is you were worried, and once you've seen the love, it was, and the support, it was instant. You said it was like,
yeah, it was like a weight off my shoulders. The community, like, you came in hard for me, and I appreciate that. I can't repay you for that.
So thank you all. Like, seriously, thank all of you for that. And then thank you, buddy. We appreciate you and
Yeah.
we love you.
What can I say? I'm pretty. I do a lot of stupid
You are
shit. I'm
pretty.
just glad that you guys can back me up on half of it.
And Nick, you autistic. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for doing
He's
this
a bigger
level of
bully.
research.
I can't
Holy
wait.
shit.
I can't wait to hand that over to the FBI.
We've got so much more than the binder. A lot of it's digital on my part.
I have a lot of I have interviews recorded. I have hundreds, maybe thousands of emails.
He's so autistic. He tried to print out a video on this, and he just kept.
I was about to
poking
make
the
that
paper.
joke.
Yeah.
I seen the play button. I was like, push it.
It could work.
Thank you guys so freaking much. On that note, Cody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining the Unsubscribed podcast. Today, I was joined by Eli Double Tap, Fat Electrician, Angry Cops, Brandon Herrera, myself, Donut Operator. We love you.
Okay, bye.
Kisses.
I'm going to sue Channel 2.
And I'm not going to make this video any longer than that. I'm going to let this roll out. They deserve their flowers, everybody that are listening here. These are the people that support the Unsubscribed podcast. You should too. Go subscribe. Watch the videos there. Give it a like. Everybody needs to know about this. This is not done yet, and it's not going to be done until the people in positions to affect real change for these poor kids are held accountable and forced to do what they should just be doing, to what they just should be doing. It should not come to this. So anyway, I'm not going to make this video any longer than it has to be. The information I've put in the bottom as this is gone, use it. Call congressmen, senators, House, your state representatives, New York state representatives. Hey, you don't live there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They might not listen to you. They might hang up right away, but call them anyway. Be like, hey, so what are you doing for the people in your area? Because maybe I was thinking about moving there and doesn't sound like you're doing your job very well. What's going on? Call them. Write letters. Letters are great. And I don't mean emails. Fucking camera. Now it won't let me move it. You know, like emails are fun because you can sit at a desk and you can write an email. Write a letter. Something physical that fills up a mailbox, literally. If hundreds, if not thousands of you write actual letters to these senators, congresspersons, district attorneys, assistant district attorneys, fill their desks, keep their assistants so busy reading our letters that they don't have time to do anything else, that they have to look into this and they have to go, oh my God, this isn't going away. Don't let it go away. These kids are still being hurt today. This hasn't ended yet. Let's get involved. Roll up our sleeves. Let's get dirty. Let's do it.